show, everyone. I hope you are doing well this evening. Let's see how much we've got to get to set this up. Hello, everyone. Yeah, looks good. It says I'm the host with the most. There it is there. Let me double check on YouTube, guys. Make sure this is streaming correctly. We're about to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Secrets of Internal Alchemy with Frank Monday. Turn your videos into live streams. I'll have to reset all this detailed analysis here in a moment. Yeah, looks like it's coming through loud and clear. That's good. Not sure exactly how many free hours they offer on this. Maybe I should research into that and find out what that's all about. The wise are instructed by reason and logic and wisdom, I would add. Average minds are instructed by experience, right? Experiential evidence. The rough and tumble, school of hard knocks. The stupid by necessity is not necessity, the mother of invention. And the brute by instinct alone. These prescient words were written by Marcus Tullius Cicero back in the day, Roman orator, statesman, politician, philosopher, and a homesteader too, I believe. He's one of those guys that felt like a library and a garden was all you needed to have perfection in life. A library and a guardian, a library and a garden. Good stuff. Looks like we've got a pretty long delay on the YouTube, guys. So if you want to tune in directly, make sure you contact me directly. Let me know, and I'll bring you on board. With no further ado, let's get into it. Welcome back, Wayfarer, Wizard, Warrior, Wanderer, and Wildcat alike, wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission. I hope you are doing well. Frank Monday broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking, far behind the bamboo firewall, coming at you once again like Finnegan. So if you've got a yin to expand your kin, then let's get zen. Me and you, friend, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the secrets of internal alchemy. With that in mind, I'd like you to take a moment to breathe and relax. Take a deep breath, settle into a comfortable position, and allow yourself to relax. Breathe in. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Feel any tension or distraction just begin to melt away. Tensions melting away, distractions dissipating. This moment is for you and you alone. A time for you to explore your inner world with me, Frank Monday, as your guide. Here we're going to be clarifying our wishes and intentions and seeking out our holy guardian angel for contact and conversation, communication and conversation with your higher divine genius. All right. Just relax. Let it all flow out from the top of the head, abrahadabra, all the way down the body. Feel the vibration of relaxation and centering. Be in the moment, aspirant. Be here with me, my voice alone, your only guide in the darkness to bring you forward into the light. Take another deep breath in and release it gently. Continue natural rhythmic breathing, allowing your body to relax even more deeply. You might want to wiggle your butt around on the chair, or if you're lying down, roll the shoulders and hips around a little bit, settle in. Allow your body to relax as much as you like. You could feel yourself grounded to the earth, breathing in, imagining a warm wave of Relaxation washing over you from top to bottom, endless floods of scintillating, relaxing energy. Imagine that slowly spreading down through the neck, shoulders, torso, hips, legs, out into the ground, relaxing even the earth beneath you. As this wave of warm, relaxing energy flows through you, you can imagine everything around you settling, the mind settling. We use the analogy in Taoist meditation with like a mason jar filled about a third with earth and all the way filled up with water. Imagine that. You've got a mason jar, it's sealed off. You shake it up, right? And you've got muddy water. You hold it up to the light, you can't see through it. But if you set it on the table and cease agitating, all of that sediment will sink down to the bottom and you'll be left with clear, brilliant water, right? Allow that sediment to settle. Allow all agitation in the body to settle. With each breath, let go of the outside world and turn your focus inward. You might like to imagine yourself in a tranquil place, a sanctuary where you feel safe and at peace. This could be anything that appeals to you: a serene forest, a quiet beach, a cozy room filled with soft, ambient light, amber tones, wooded materials, leather couch perhaps, a nice 1920s New Orleans style parlor room. You might even hear the gentle rain outside on the street. In this sacred space, you can explore your deepest desires. As you embrace this feeling of comfort, allow your mind to drift, thoughts appearing and disappearing like fluffy little white clouds across a brilliant sky. Your vast, other than conscious mind is like the vast open expanse of the sky, each particular thought like a cloud just drifting by. As you listen to the sound of my voice, you may find that your thoughts are becoming softer, more gentle, like those clouds floating by in the serene sky. Each thought that passes is a gentle reminder of your journey inward. As you relax even more deeply, I invite you to focus on the number 10. We'll be going down into that astral temple where magic is done. And with each number, as I count down, feel yourself sinking deeper into a state of blissful relaxation. As I begin counting now, 10, feeling safe and secure, going deeper into relaxation, natural rhythmic breathing, pumping the lower abdomen, the dantian of immortal life force energy. 9, breathing deeper and deeper, all the way into the core of your being, with each breath inhaling and exhaling, deep relaxation permeating throughout your being. 8, relaxing more now with each gentle rhythmic breath. See the number 7 now and allow your mind to open to the energies around you and to your deep inner self. 6, drifting further into calm, tranquil serenity. 5, you're halfway there now. You might adjust your mudra posture, your hands on your body, the incantation in the mind. 4, deeper still. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. The number 3, you're almost there now. 2, surrendering to peace. 1, fully relaxed, your mind open and receptive. In this beautiful, relaxed state, I invite you to imagine a vast landscape reaching out before you. This landscape represents your life. It's filled with possibilities and potentials. Many pathways leading one off to one side to the, the serene coastline and possible dwellings and villages there, perhaps fishing villages, one off in the other direction, maybe into the low hills, off towards marketplaces and centers of commerce, and then one leading straight out in front of you up into the high mountains, off into the distant, serene hermitages of ancient sages. As you look around, notice these various paths that stretch out before you, and imagine that each path represents a different aspect of your life. You might establish one for loving relationships with family or a romantic partner, or relationships in your career. Another path may be that direct path to financial freedom and fortune and prosperity. Another path may lead towards renewed interest in a health regimen and better diet and exercise, and all of those things that give you mental, physical, and spiritual well being. And then you may imagine another path of personal growth that leads you to the highest divine realms of spiritual cultivation. Take a moment and choose a path that you might like to walk along at this time in the transmission, and begin to walk that path, the one that calls to you most strongly at this time in your life. With each step, you can feel more connected to your desires and aspirations, your intentions for powerful productivity. Become more aware of what you truly want from this path in your life. And as you walk and continue to breathe rhythmically and naturally, envision the scenery changing. It's as a reflection of your dreams and wishes. You can pause the transmission at this point if you like later, if you're listening to this, and continue on this internal visualization for as long as you feel comfortable. When you're ready, we can begin again. And now, as you are walking along that path, you can find a comfortable place to sit in the landscape. It could be a soft patch of grass, a smooth stone, a cozy bench, anything that appeals to you. You allow yourself to settle in and take a moment to breathe deeply, feeling the energy of this place enveloping you, nourishing you. As you sit here in this special place, let's begin to clarify your wishes. I invite you to visualize a glowing orb of light in front of you. This orb of light can represent your intentions. As it shimmers and scintillates, oscillating with your breath, growing a little larger, a little smaller, as if alive with the life breath. Notice the colors that it's emitting, polychromatic emissions of color, and each color representing a different desire or wish. You might like to focus your vibratorial energy into that sphere and invoke Abrahadabra. See the sphere scintillate and ignite with the energy of your magic. Focus on one color that resonates with you and imagine to yourself what this color represents. Is it love, success, peace, creativity, enthusiasm? Allow this color to. What are the sights? Take as long as you want to immerse yourself in this experience. Now, while you hold this image in mind, let's articulate the wish together, either silently or aloud. State your intention clearly. For example, you might say, I've achieved greater abundance in my life. I'm so grateful for the endless sources of energy and money and health that have come to me. I've achieved a deep, meaningful connection. You might even state the person's name several times. If there's a person you're looking to connect deeper with, if there's a career force that you would like to establish, say this in the present tense as if you've achieved it and feel the reward of that achievement. Feel the power of the words as they resonate in this serene space. Allow them to take root in your heart, growing stronger with each repetition. At this point in the exercise, you might like to give gratitude for having done this deep internal work. You might take out your journal and make some notes or just a scrap piece of fool's cap that's lying around and write down a sigil or your intentions with letting your thoughts flow freely. There's nothing right or wrong here. Just make something, some mark on the paper if you like. That's one way. You don't have to. You can do it in any other way. You might take out a tape and record how your session went today. And as you write, envision the incantation of each word as a seed being planted in the fertile soil of the responsiveness of the cosmos, ready to grow and blossom. Spend a few moments allowing your thoughts to pour into the page or the receptacle of your energy and feeling a sense of clarity and purpose. If you find this part of the activity too challenging, you might ask yourself guiding questions like, what makes me feel truly happy and satisfied? What do I want to experience more of in my life? And how do I want to feel each day as I go forth into the world? And what good can I do for myself and others? Let these questions guide your writing or your articulation of your desires or the formation of a sigil with your own magical intent in it. Okay, we're going to wrap up this part of the exercise, and I want you to take a moment to review what work you've done so far and feeling the satisfaction of having clarified your intentions and realizing that your desires are stepping stones towards improving your future and making yourself um, more empowered with everything you need in life, right? We cannot help others if we are always in a state of poverty. So, greater financial endowment can allow you to help yourself and others more freely. Better health makes you more active in fulfilling your tasks and duties throughout your day. Greater spiritual clarity means that you have discernment and you can cut through the nonsense and distortion of human opinion and the vicissitudes of what you face each day. And when you begin to review this in the future, you'll look back on this as a time of peaceful achievement. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and with each number, you'll return to the present moment, bringing with you the bliss and clarity that you've cultivated in this brief session. 1, begin slowly coming back. 2, feel the energy returning to your body. Picture the number 3 and becoming aware of your surroundings. 4, start stretching the arms and legs and wiggling the toes and fingers. 5, eyes open, fully alert, refreshed. Welcome back, Wayfarer. You've taken an important step today on clarifying your wishes and intentions and visiting a magical land, an internal land, an interior kingdom. And you can carry this sense of empowerment with you throughout your day. Remember that your journey to manifesting all of your positive, productive intentions begins with clarity and taking the first step, right? At this time, welcome back. You might want to take a few steps in any, take some small action that will work towards your goal. I'm just now checking. I'm imagining the numbers. All right, Austin Murphy. Good magic, man. Good to see you. Welcome to the transmission. I hope you are doing well out in Happy Land. Welcome to everyone. Thank you for taking that short journey with me. I'm not sure if there's anyone still out there, but if you are there, uh, greetings and salutations, wizard, warrior, wanderer, wayfarer, and wildcat alike, wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission. Frank Monday broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon here in Twilight Zone Old Peking. Getting good magic done, guys. Coming at you once again like Finnegan. So if you've got a yen to expand your kin, then let's get zen with the secrets of internal alchemy. I'd like you to take a moment, Wayfarer, if you haven't already, and please hit the like button and leave a little comment on the video. You might do it now or later, but yeah, you could say, "Hey, Frank Monday, what's happening, man? I enjoyed that brief induction. Thank you for taking us through that. Looks like we have had a few folks hit the thumbs up, so I can appreciate that. Thank you dearly for that, everyone. And I would like to remind everyone, if you do have the opportunity, you can check me out at www.buymeacoffee, COFFEE, .com/Frank Monday, Frank Moonday. And you put a little something, something in the tip jar, right? That'll put the lead in my pencil. That'll help out the channel as per usual. Do keep in mind that commenting on the videos and hitting the thumbs up and subscribing, all of that, they say really helps out the channel. And I think it does. I'm up to almost 800 subs now, 7.99. If you sub now, you could become the 800th sub to the channel, and that would certainly be good magic. Yeah. So I wanted to, with that little induction in place, I hope you're feeling more relaxed, more centered, with greater clarity on whatever it is you're up to, right? Because I am first and foremost your humble guide and servant. So I want you to get your good magic done. And I'll remind you of those wise words with Cicero that I started off the transmission with this time around. He says that the wise are instructed by reason and logic and wisdom, average minds by the school of hard knocks, experiential evidence, right? And the stupid by necessity, because necessity is the mother of invention. And then the brute by instinct alone, right? They just go by instinct. So, which are you going to be among those? As you you know rage through the rough and tumble world with your brute instincts, and then running into points of necessity where you must in fact learn in order to get more and refill your stores. Then with enough experience you become average, and you can kind of lay away things for the future. And then finally you can bring yourself into the realm of reason and logic and have a little bit of higher level ideation. So I hope that appeals to you as much as it does to me. That is Marcus Tullius Cicero, great Roman orator. If you guys haven't seen the TV series Rome, you definitely should check it out. I believe it was HBO. It might have been Showtime. I can't remember right off the top of my head. It seems like Spartacus, the recent reiteration of Spartacus, and when I say recent, I mean like maybe 20 years ago, was done by Stars, Starz, which is similar. It's a it was a cable network, right? A streaming network, probably now, similar to Netflix. But there were Stars, HBO, Cinemax, and Showtime, which were all the premium channels in the US. I guess those were all kind of prior to Netflix. It seems like they're still around though, right? We've got the Sci-Fi Channel now, which does some pretty good stuff. It seems like American Horror Story, that was on Sci-Fi, right? And they're going to be releasing a 13th season, and they're saying it's the 13th and final season of American Horror Story, and that's going to be coming out soon, man. Like it's supposed to be released mid 2025. So that's like right now, right? I'm excited about that. American Horror Story was one of my favorite long-running TV series recently. I didn't realize the director of that, or the maker of that, did another one called Grotesqueries or something like that, which I haven't seen yet. And I think they only did one season so far. It didn't get very good reviews, but I'll probably check that out here in the near future, because I like that style of show. And I'm not saying that it's just about horror stuff or whatever. I enjoyed Fringe. I don't know if any of you guys watched Fringe or not. Other ones I've enjoyed in the past: X Files, Twin Peaks, um, Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. So anything that's supernatural or paranormal, but then has some believability, it's kind of within the realm of possibility, right? I really enjoy. So that's good magic. Yeah, other than that, not a lot going on, guys. I don't have a real solid radio transmission for you tonight because I am working from Restream rather than StreamYard. I've got a week until my StreamYard hours reboot because I'm on the free account over there at StreamYard. But I'll definitely think about getting the premium account, like the base level paid for account on StreamYard, because it's the best platform to stream from here on the internet for doing stuff like YouTube. Or I don't know if it's any good for Twitch. I think Twitch itself, you can just stream directly from it. You can from YouTube as well, but it's not a very good studio on YouTube. And so as a fallback, I tried out Streamlabs, which only had about 5 free hours on it, and no guests on their free account, right? Or maybe it was one guest. And then I tried Restream, and Restream, I believe, allows guests. Let me see. Invite guests. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll click that, and then let me see if it pop it in there. Yeah, there's the link, guys. So you could click on that link directly. It's studio. I'll throw it up here on the screen. It's https:// studio.restream.io/EOQ dash FEP dash KNJ. Yeah, you can see it there on your screen. If you do have interest in joining the channel, you can just go ahead and click that and it will put you somewhere. Where, I don't know, but it'll put you somewhere. Let me see here. There's that button. I think invite up to 6 guests. So that's good, Magic. Yeah, keep the topic of the show in mind if you do want to come up and banter back and forth a little while. We got a couple of hours here. If I do get a guest, then I will stay online a little longer. If I don't get any guests, then I'll wrap this up because I already did a pretty dynamite induction there. Nice little hypnotic induction for everyone's benefit. We've got the old buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday up there on the let's check out some of their different styles here. Wow, that one's kind of weird. Consider a one-time donation to put the lead in my pencil. I think that should say put, not keep. Let's try rounded. What does rounded look like? Yeah, rounded's kind of nice. I think the default's the best one. Yeah, I like the default. We could change the primary color scheme to green. I like green. I think green's a nice one. We can adapt the logos and the overlay. Not sure if I want any overlay. They've got some weird video clips here. Let's see what that. Huh, that was kind of cool. I guess I was like traveling through space. I'd never seen that before. So we've got some other backgrounds that look like they're probably free as well. I'll click on that one. It doesn't look like it responded though. Let me try this other one. Click on that one and see if there's any response. Don't know, man. I'm gonna have to double check on YouTube and see if we're actually still connected to the internet. Yeah, sounds like we're pretty good. It sounds like our feedback loop is pretty consistent. Show and hide, show and hide. Okay, the backgrounds are not working, guys. That's okay. You can't have everything all the time, right? We've got support the stream, little QR codes you can pop up there. That looks like good fun. We've got a private chat, so if you do join the show, we could go backstage and private chat. Then we've got a couple of free songs on here, downtown tempo, chill hop, lo-fi, and that's it. The rest you have to pay for, you have to upgrade. So let's try lo-fi. All right, that sounds pretty good. I'll keep that nice and low because it does tend to be a little bit annoying on the transmission from time to time. Yeah, that might be a little too much. Let me let it run and see if I can get used to it. What else do we got? We got notes for the scene, for the show. I wonder what happens when I type notes. Let's see, what are my notes? One word, the secrets of immortality. Number one, breathe to your dantian. Number two, cut off wasting energy. Number three, refine internal energies via qigong. Number four, create spiritual servitors to aid in your acquisition of source. 5, coalesce the quintessence into Wuji. Yeah, that's about it. Now what do I do? I've got these notes up here. I guess they just stay there. I don't know. Strange. I guess they're there if I need them. I can double check them. We've got the banner up. We got the music playing. And we don't have any visitors yet. 37 minutes in. And yeah, all of this stuff here. Let me go back to the chat. Anybody in the chat? No? Looks like Austin took off. Alrighty then. Good magic nonetheless, guys. If anybody wants to jump up here and banter, let's get into some good magic. Once again, like Finnegan, I don't have any tools on this platform because this is only the second time I've used it, and I really don't know what's going on with it. Give me a minute to look and see if I can upload a video. Seems like last time it said my videos had to be under 15 minutes. So let me check that real quick.
Recently, I've taken a renewed interest in writing, literature, and my own horror fantasy cosmicist universe. To do this or further communicate the relevance of life in Providence, producing a vast amount of celebrated work. The Call of Cthulhu, completed in 1926, as everyone watching this video probably knows, is one of his most memorable works. He also traveled to places looking for the perfect locales of his story. Imprisoned with the Pharaohs. It was published in the May, June, July 1924 edition of Weird Tales in Houdini's name. Later, the two men collaborated on several other projects. 1924 also saw the formation of a literary circle known by the name of the Kalem Club around Love.
Yeah, that's interesting. The Kalimka Club. How fascinating. Yeah, so last time I was on the transmission and I wanted to play a little video to kind of fill the space in case anybody give people a little time, a little open open platform to see if anybody would join me. Um, this is about the point I made it into on the video on last time. I am gonna check. And this time I'll do more commentary over it. Yeah, so there's that window of opportunity, there's that time and space just in case anybody dials in this morning and wants to say hello. It is a Tuesday, and so my general pattern that I like to do is give me a second, guys. How do I drop the video from don't know. Where's it at? Maximize, customize, and here we go. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Let's see if this will work. Video. Mm-mm. None of that's working. How do I change the format? Let's see here. Okay, will that do it? Spotlight? No. Boop. Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. That'll work. Because I can't seem to drop this video out of here. Oh, is this it? No, that's not it either. Wow, this is really a weird platform that I've never really used before, guys. So bear with me. If any of you guys know Restream and you want to jump on here and give me some fucking pointers, that would be awesome. Because I really have no idea what's going on with this thing. I'm used to StreamYard. StreamYard is my preferred streaming platform, but StreamYard's not available to me right now due to the fact that I've run out of hours. I've only got 20 hours on, let me see, why is it doing that? I've only got 20 hours on StreamYard that I can use for free each month. Noise cancellation. Oh, nice. Yeah, can you still hear me, Wayfarer? Are you out there in Happy Land? Good magic. Yeah, so it's a nice, chill, relaxed Tuesday. Tuesday's the day that I chill and relax and talk to the internet. Which, unless somebody calls in, then it's kind of like just talking to myself, right? And isn't that a lot of people they deem talking to yourself to be a kind of craziness. But I learned back in the day through, early days of meditation and positive affirmations that you're going to talk to yourself anyway. Like the mind is going to talk to you no matter what. Like it's either going to talk to you in a positive fashion or a negative fashion. And oftentimes, as people go throughout their day to day life, right, they have a lot of negative self talk. And so it's important if you want to have a more positive, upbeat, spiritual ascendance to your life to eliminate any kind of negative self talk. All right. What are some of the most common things that people say to themselves? Imagine a young man or a young woman who's wanting to approach someone in a romantic, get involved in a romantic relationship, and they see someone that they're really attracted to. They might say something to themselves like, "Oh, this person, they're too beautiful. They're too good for me. They're above me. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not this enough or that enough or whatever." Right? It's negative self-talk. Eliminate it. Just get rid of it. Just step through the waterfall of fear. All right. Sometimes I can remember some situations like, I don't know, trying to do a new trick on my bike or my skateboard, and that negative self talk would try to prevent you. Oh, you might slam, you might get hurt. Obviously, those are parameters meant to protect you and keep you safe. But sometimes you just have to push through that and be like, ah, fuck it. If I slam, I slam. How bad is it going to be? Obviously, build your skill level over time and don't attempt things that are far outside your range of possibility. But yeah, sometimes you can at least visualize it, right? That's why the magical method includes visualizing, to envision the thing first and foremost, and then to invoke, to command it into being. right? And then to work toward it, right? Take some small action to arrive at discernment, like cut away the things that don't aid you in the fruition and delivery of that thing, and then to receive it. Just get ready, hands open wide for your prize. Eyes on the prize, amigo, right? Don't let someone take the fucking jelly out of your donut. Sometimes it comes, right? That negative internal self-talk can come from self, right? And sometimes it's something that was, has been long term programmed into you by other people. Other folks may have said to you, "Hey, you're not good enough. You know, you're not handsome enough. You don't have a shave. Your tie's crooked. You're not pretty enough. You don't sing well enough, right? Your voice is uh, grinding and irritating, right? You speak in an off-key way that makes people feel unhappy, right? And maybe that's true. So what can you do? You could take some steps to correct that. You could try to speak in a more even tone for the naturalness of your voice. It might be if you're a man or a woman, you might be a little bit more of a deeper tone, right? Like who's that famous singer that recently did a song that hit TikTok viral fame, his 30 seconds of singing. Um, they call him Mr. Bombastic, Mr. Fantastic, the Bombastic, or whatever, right? Some people think he has an appealing voice. Or recently, Connie Francis, her song from back in like the 1930s is being recirculated again in the TikTok sphere. It's I think it's called Pretty Little Baby, right? Ask the flowers. I sit and talk to the trees with the bluebirds, the bill and coo birds. Pretty Little Baby. It's a good one. Might be like what was that girl's name? Peggy something that did the Fever song. You give me fever. Frank Sinatra was a great crooner. I know not everyone appreciates him. They might prefer Gene Kelly or Cary Grant, maybe Dean Martin, or who's the other guy? Sammy Davis Jr. He was a member of the Rat Pack, and then the fourth guy that nobody can remember is Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Tony Bennett. Was Tony Bennett the fourth one? Seems like he was. But those were the great crooners of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, or 30s and 40s, maybe a little more accurate. Seems like by the 50s and 60s, they were already they weren't as much in vogue, right? They weren't the, the flavor du jour, but still good magic nonetheless, right? Um, I like old Frank Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what life is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, please be true. In other words, darling, kiss me. I think that's how it goes. I can't remember the lyrics. That was a long time ago, the 1930s. Geez, nearly 100 years ago, right? You can't remember. You can't expect me to remember lyrics from 100 years ago. Maybe. In other words, darling, kiss me. Yeah, you guys know how it goes, man. It's not bad magic at
Craft.
all.
At
Let's
the
let's let's
urging
get
of
a
its
little more of
members, he
this.
now began to submit a number of otherworldly stories to Weird Tales. Although initially he enjoyed life in New York, the good times did not last long. Very soon he started facing financial problems and discord at home. He now tried to secure work, but failed to get any. Eventually, on April 17, 1926, he
In
returned to
other
Providence
words,
without his wife. H.P. Lovecraft spent the last years of his short life in Providence producing a vast amount of celebrated work. The Call of Cthulhu, completed in 1926, as everyone watching this video probably knows, is one of his most memorable works. He also
1926, The Call of Cthulhu. That's 99 years, guys. Next year is the 100th year since we were warned of the old one. Yeah, I think is he an elder god or an old one? I think he's an elder god. So when we were warned that the elder god Cthulhu was dead and dreaming, dead and asleep, dreaming at his sunken city of Relie beneath the waves, right? Old Atlantis or Mu, Lemuria. Yeah, Cthulhu. When the stars align, great Cthulhu will awaken. Maybe it's coming up, man. I feel like it actually already happened. I feel like Cthulhu has risen. There was a lineup last year, at the end of last year, where all the planets formed the celestial sword in the sky. That's good magic, man. What do you guys think? Do you think
also
Cthulhu
traveled
has
to
risen?
places looking for the perfect locales of his stories. In 1927, he wrote a short novel called The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. Though he himself was unsatisfied with it, later critics, however, found it to be one of his finest works. H.P.
Yeah, The Strange Case of Charles Dexter Ward. Do you guys know that one? Are you familiar with that one? I think that a lot of these were made into movies because after his death, right? I don't think he didn't have any descendants, right? And so the vast his all of his works that weren't co-written or ghost-written fell into the public domain, and so people could recreate these stories and make movies and different types of spin-offs, video games, comic books, or whatever, and they could do it for free. They didn't have to pay anybody any royalties because the great master prophet of our aeon, the great dreaming prophet, was already dead, right? And he didn't leave it behind any heirs. I think there are people that try to claim rights to some of his work, like the Lovecraft Society or something, but they don't have it. It's after 70 years, all of that passed into the public domain. Yeah, so that's good magic. That's why we see such a heavy influence of Cthulhu's work in our modern era, right? Once they hit the 70-year mark, like right around the 2000, they say, hey, this is all public domain now. Let's just go ahead and rehash all this stuff because Hollywood never has any original ideas of their own, right? They just recreate the ideas of ancient masters, of guys who actually did the spiritual work and passed beyond the veil to bring back the hidden secrets. Let's see, I'm hitting play on it. It's not working anymore. I must have lost my video connection. I wonder why that is. That's kind of lame. Let's see here.
H.P. Lovecraft would die in 1937 at the age of 45 from small intestinal cancer. Lovecraft's stories were written with the intention of his monsters, gods, and cults not being able to be understood. These beings are so far removed from us on a power and evolutionary scale that we simply cannot in any way truly know anything about them. Fear of the unknown was the favorite tool of Lovecraft. The term Cthulhu mythos only came about after Lovecraft's death. Lovecraft laid a foundation of mystery in his stories through his personal philosophy of cosmicism. It was only once other authors tried to solve the unsolvable mystery of Lovecraft's creations that we get the Cthulhu mythos out of Call of Cthulhu. The purpose of Cthulhu was to represent the, in Lovecraft's opinion, inconsequential nature of man before, during, and after our species' existence. Cthulhu was a neutral figure like humans, but in line with the themes of cosmic horror we just went over, he was too powerful and too alien to be understood. This was not some perversion of nature like Dracula in classic horror, but rather a force of nature that man was not yet ready for. Lovecraft's philosophy of cosmicism believed primarily that humans were insignificant in their role in the universe, and if life existed on other planets, it was simply the result of the same or different evolutionary processes of man, meaning that most, if not all, sentient life had the same neutral insignificance as man. This insignificance extended to all religions. This places Lovecraft staunchly in the atheist camp. Lovecraft also did not believe in free will or any form of spirituality, being both a matters movement style materialist and a biochemical process informs all behavior style determinist. A Darwinistic view of culture was also a facet of his beliefs. He believed strongly in the superiority of the Western, and more specifically Anglospheric, and even more specifically than that, British culture, despite him being an American. Democracy and secularism were very precious things to Lovecraft, but as his own philosophy dictated, he believed these things too were inconsequential to the bigger scheme of things. While many would differentiate cosmicism from Nietzsche's active nihilism, the difference to me seems more like a variation, putting everything through the lens of what should be important to humanity. We have room in cosmicism for those cultures to be precious to Lovecraft, for British
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, it's not working. All right, all right, all right. It
variation,
shows that I'm
putting
transmitting, but I
everything
can't
through the
hear
lens
anything
of
on the
what should be
feedback.
important to humanity. We have room in cosmicism for those cultures to be precious to Lovecraft, for British culture, Anglospheric culture to be precious to Lovecraft, rather than trying to develop a mental weapon to bring about a master morality. If I were to relate the two concepts, I would say they operate with the same parameters of what is real, but have two different goals and motives. I think Lovecraft more wanted to just explain and observe things, whereas Nietzsche obviously wanted to bring about the Übermensch. So make of that what you will. Well, that ends.
Yeah, make of that what you will. Yeah, I honestly, I know that Lovecraft was influenced. We'll go back a little bit here on the video and see what he has to say about this. I do realize that he was influenced by that school of thinking, and I think it was more from who's that guy? Jean-René Sartre, the existential guy, right? Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Let's see, that was Descartes. Descartes. Anyway, all these guys, they had kind of similar type ideologies going on with these types of things. Hey, we got a visitor out there in Happy Land. Good to see you, Voy, once again. Yes, I am doing the 100-day challenge. I'm well into it. I've been keeping pace with my syllabus. Nobody joined me on it. I didn't get any feedback, so I just kind of stopped talking about it here on the channel. Yeah, I was talking about Saturn. This video is about over. I got a couple of minutes. If you want to join, man, I put the link. I don't know what time it is for you there, but I copied the invite link and I posted it in the old
Spirit,
ideas room.
and
I don't know
even
if
more
it's still
specifically
there or
than
not,
that,
but yeah.
British culture,
Um,
despite him being an American. Democracy and secularism were very precious things to Lovecraft, but as his own philosophy dictated, he believed these things too were inconsequential to the bigger scheme of things. While many
It's interesting too, like they say that and they give the idea that this was the way he felt, but it doesn't really play out in his writing. I know that in his nonfiction writing, it does, right? Like it's what he talks about, it's what he presents. But I think that he had a lot of existential angst and social anxiety, right? Because you couldn't just outright say these things among his contemporaries, and he had to consider his audience first and foremost. You know, they would have filleted him um
Woohoo!
in the public realm. Woohoo! Void, good to see you, man. How the hell are you?
No, I'm okay. I'm the powdered toast man, as you can
Are you
see.
nice? Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. That's really that's a lot of fun right there.
Somehow it remembers something. Yeah, somehow it remembers my account on Restream, so that's okay.
Oh,
Like that.
okay, good. Yeah, last time we chatted, I was on StreamYard.
Yeah.
And then I think Streamlabs after that. Yeah, I'm eating up all the hours on all these free platforms. You know, you only get a certain amount of hours on each one unless you pony up, and they're not cheap, man. They want $50 a month.
Dude,
That's like
I mean, did you? I was once how do you say subscribed to StreamYard, and it was like 20 euros a month. I think like $25 a month, and then
okay.
and then I think about a year ago they just upped it without telling anybody. Without telling anybody, without they just upped it. But I was already on the free StreamYard by then, because I'm not so. I was very interested in streaming, but I'd liked to play around with it, and then you know I got kind of bored. But
Yeah, yeah.
I still
I
like
think
stream and still like to join streams. So that's why I don't
right.
use that's why I don't buy my time anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I think unless you have like a regular clientele and you're using it, some of these guys, you know, you can obviously see that they're using it as their day job, then
Yeah,
it's not really worth paying that much money for, you know what I mean?
yeah, and 25 or 20 is worth doing it, but 50 is that's double. That's double, and unless you actually make some money of it, maybe it's not worth it.
Right. Yeah, I kind of started my whole YouTube racket originally with the idea that it could be a hobby that would finance itself because I'm big on hobbies that kind of finance themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Like I learned, you know, Chinese kung fu and dance and music and calligraphy, and I invested so much money in learning these things that ultimately you feel like I don't need another guru. I just need look how much I've already paid, you know, I just need to practice what I've already learned. And
What you've
so
been
I
preached, you need to practice what you've been preached.
that's right. That's right. Practice what you preach. So I
No,
invested
practice
so
what you have
much.
been preached, because you spend so much money on gurus, right? So you have been preached, so now you need
Yeah.
to practice it. Yeah.
Definitely, right? So, like, at some point, you need to say, "Hey, enough's enough. I just need to go on with the work." And it's funny too, because like, if in my early days, just like the original methods that I learned, those were enough already. And I remember Shifu at one point even telling me, like, I was reaching out, trying to learn all these different formulas and magical systems of internal alchemy. And he's
Mhm.
like, he said, as soon as you realize that enough is enough, you will always have enough. And
Wow.
it took me it took some years for that to finally click. But once I grokked it, I was like, yeah, the supreme method, once you know it, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, well, I mean that also sounds like abundance, right? When you know enough is enough and you have enough, there is
Yeah,
abundance. There's abundance. Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. So how was your day, man? What's going on with you?
Uh, I'm, I'm
What's
having I didn't wake up very happy, but then I smoked the joint, and that even made me more unhappy. I was the guy that shouldn't have smoked that joint. Um,
yeah, that can happen. I've noticed that.
And but you know, it wasn't even a strong one. But I was like, nah, you shouldn't just smoke a joint in the morning, boy. It's like shouldn't do that. Getting too old for that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm gonna meet up tomorrow with a friend from YouTube, Dean HD. You might know the name, and he's from the UK, and he's gonna visit the Netherlands. So I'm looking forward to that. The end of the
Oh
week,
wow.
I'm gonna visit. The end of the week, I'm gonna visit, or I'm gonna attend a gig that my nephew is playing, and he started a band with the band name that I actually did like 40 years ago. I started a band and I named it Stoic. And he actually named his band Stoic too, and he's the front man. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to happen on Saturday. And then I just got a call, Frank, Monday. Now that you asked me how's my week, well, this is going to be an awesome week, right? So I'm going to meet Dean, and
Yeah.
I'm going to see my nephew perform, and then I just got a call. Somebody said, "Well, there's this epic painting, this epic painting that was in our house, in our elderly house, from from when I was born, and it is such an impressive thing. You know, it's a square painting. I think maybe 1 meter 20 by 120 or so. It's really big, and it's so surrealistic. And now I get to buy it because the guy actually is about to die, and he wants to get rid of it. And he thought of us as first, like, well, I want to sell it for 500, but since it's actually yours, would you like to buy it for 500? And yeah, yes, please. So yeah, I'm having a great week, Frank, and it's only Tuesday, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good magic. I love to hear it. Synchronicities piling up, and let me check the. We could do this together. I think as long as I don't have anything
There must be something in
verboten.
the stars, Frank, for this to
Yeah, yeah.
happen.
I was gonna pull up the calendar real quick and see where we're at. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have anything verboten showing on my screen here. You never know, all right? Select
Yeah.
a screen
Dirty
or
old man.
window.
Of course, this dirty
Yeah,
old man,
yeah,
Frank Monday, has some verboten stuff on his screen.
yeah. What are you gonna do, all right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, there it is. There's the screen. I think you can probably see it. And here's the calendar. We've got Cafe Astrology, and we're going into Gemini right now, right? We're on the 20th.
Uh-huh.
Is that right? Does that sound correct to you?
Yeah, no, we are.
Yesterday was Victoria Day. Does that mean anything to you?
Nah. No, but it's not so much about the calendar. It's more about the stars that are in the sky, right? So there's something happening with Saturn that's transitioning into a new horoscope. How do you say this?
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's what's going on. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious about that. Like, are you at all prone to share your zodiacal data, or do you keep that
Nah.
private?
No, I don't keep it private, but I studied it somewhat. Well, not deeply, but I did study it. But I
Okay,
didn't
so
make it.
the reason I ask is I want to try to get a little bit of a better handle on you. So, like, do you know your Chinese zodiac? Are you willing to share it with me?
I think I'm a pig.
Oh, wow, good magic, man. That makes us lined up as friends.
Uh,
Um, Maybe that's why our energies resonate. What about your sun and moon sign? Do you know your sun sign on the zodiac?
hmm. What do you mean in Chinese?
No, the Western zodiac,
It's
like your
Virgo. Virgo.
Virgo. Okay. And do you know where the moon was?
Dude, I have this explicit, very explicit and intricate horoscope that was made of me when I was 12 years old. So I can look it all up. But what
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The primary three we usually consider are the sun, moon, and ascendant, right? Like what started your house of rotations. So, Virgo pig. That's an interesting thing. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I'll keep it in the background for memory. But yeah, so we're moving from what, an earth sign into an air sign. So we're going now. No, no, no. Well, let me see. Where are we at? What comes just prior to Gemini? Yeah, Taurus. So we're going from Taurus, and we're on the cusp of Taurus into Gemini. Gemini. You can see here that it starts at 2:55 p.m. wherever you are. And our moon is going from Aquarius into Pisces. Then we
Uh-huh.
have all of these other calculations down here, right?
Well, the
Like,
funny
yeah,
thing is that my father was a Pisces, and the painting that I'm speaking of is related to my father because he was gifted this painting from this artist, and he never sold anything or granted somebody something. So that was special in itself, right? And the people that collect his work have the whole collection complete, and this is the only one. This painting is the only painting that's missing. And I'm like, well, I'd like the collection to be complete, but then again, I'd like to be part of the story too and keep it for myself. Yeah. So
yeah,
my
that's good fun.
yeah, so my father was gifted that painting by the artist, and then he pawned it to this rich guy, to this wealthy guy. He said, "Well, I need 4,000. I give you the painting. You give me 4,000, and when I have 4,000, I will buy the painting back." And he said yes, but
Okay.
my father never paid the money back. And so, but now he's offering it for 500, dude. I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna have to do that. I got that money, I can spend it. So yeah, let's just do that. It's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
awesome.
good.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, in a couple of weeks I will have it, so I will show it to you. It's a really impressive stuff, dude. Really impressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I bet you'd like it too. I'm sure you like it. Well,
yeah, I love paintings and I love getting paintings back. Like my family growing up, we had paintings all over the house, and my dad was big on art.
mm.
He My mother said that he didn't really care for the art, but he liked the artists. And so he supported a lot of young, beautiful artists, male and female. We're talking Bob Ross was around at the time. And just the same would be true with your father, I would imagine,
Mm.
that same
Well,
type of
it was a different time
generation.
and age back then in the 50s and the 60s. Things were still, which there was still a lot of
Approachable.
freedom. What?
Yeah, you could buy approachable. You could buy
Yeah,
houses and
yeah,
paintings and own things. You could fill your house with, decent
yeah,
furniture, and
yeah,
you could live a life. Yeah,
yeah. And,
totally
and
different.
these guys actually, my father and the artist, they kind of worked together, and well, they didn't work together, but I think they set up this stichting, an institution. It's called
Okay.
Artishock, and it's still a thing, right? It's still a
Oh
thing in my
wow, wow.
yeah. So that was quite successful, and yeah, yeah. So that's what's happening to me this week. There must be something in the stars that this is happening. So much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Good magic. I mean, was it something that you had intended to return to you, or it just came about by mere
No, it just came
coincidence?
about because if it wouldn't be returned to me, I wouldn't feel bad about it. But
Right.
now that it's offered to me, I'm like, wow, that's that I must take that chance. I got the money.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a bargain, dude. It's a fucking bargain. 500. I mean, my dad pawned it for 4,000. Okay, of course, those were different dollars back then, but still.
Yeah, that's like more like yeah, that's like 20 grand in today's money,
I
right?
think so. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
big deal.
But to me, it's not even about that money. It's about
Yeah, I
I
got
know
to
the
hold
painting.
on
It's
to
grifted. It's grifted in my mind. You know, it's like, yeah, I can still
Okay, yeah,
see
yeah.
painting in front of me.
Yeah, I've got a few of those. I got a few of those. There was one that my father he bought he bought a lot of paintings from this one gal that was a very good artist. I think it was oil on canvas, but because he contributed quite a bit, he bought maybe four or five of her works over a few years, but she did one of him in his office, and like it was very dark and very esoteric, hermetic, starlight out the window. And she knew some of his background, that he was originally from New York City, but this was all in LA where I grew up, because they had moved there before I was born. But she did this really wonderful, probably 3 by 5 feet, something like that. Very, very, substantial piece. And that one and the haunted house, she had a smaller one, like maybe a foot by 2 feet, something like that, of a haunted house. And those are the only two that I ended up with. My mother had some commissioned as well, because when you get to a certain level and you have the opportunity to support, to engage in art, in purchasing artworks, it helps support the artist.
Yeah.
And it's a valuable exchange. They give you a valuable item that they've put a lot of energy, and you can't express that in dollars and cents, because so many things go into a work of art.
Yeah. Well, not all works of art or works of expression, rather, but yeah, some of these works are really, really inspiring, and yeah, I mean that's what it takes to be a real work of art, right?
Yeah, the blood, the tears, the suffering, the
Yeah,
uh, the 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 angst, and then the method too. Honing a method over a long period of time. I've always wanted to do some art, and I keep trying, and one day I will. And this summer, I'm like I told you, I think last time we spoke, I'm going to be refining my skills to a little bit of a higher level.
hmm what I like to do back in the day, and I thought I would never end making collages, but I made so many collages. You know,
Okay.
yeah, that used to be my thing. But I haven't done it for 8 years. I always used to have a collage going on, but somehow
Yeah,
stopped. Yeah.
those are good magic. Those erupted like where I remember seeing those the most was on the punk rock scene of like the 1980s.
Ah, yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
album cover art, like that was a big deal for that.
Yeah, and people liked it, and they said you should try what's it called, Photoshop, dude. And I'm like, no, no, because I'm unlimited in Photoshop. I can enlarge things, I can fade things, and I'd like to struggle, I like the struggle of not being able to manipulate the image. I like that. That
Yeah, there's been a huge tendency towards digital art, and I think that's one direction. Definitely, I admire the young people who have a lot of skill, like using their iPads to draw things. And when the iPad first debuted here in Beijing, and I went to the Apple shop and I picked one up, like a relatively decent sized iPad with like the Apple Pen, and I jumped on their artist thing, and I did a really worthwhile rendition of Cthulhu, and like the Elder God,
yeah, yeah.
and just from the heart. I didn't even know any of the tools, but I did it, and it was very intuitive. And the manager of the store, he like ran over and he was watching me, and he's like, "Can I film you doing this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, gives a fuck." And then he's like, "Man, like when I was finished, he's like, you've used these before, right?" He's like, "That's amazing." Because I did like this really dynamic, like this kind of scary, but at the same time, you know, like a
Impressive.
worthwhile piece of, yeah,
Yeah.
impressive. I spent I don't know, maybe an hour or so on it. And I was like, "No, this is my first experience with it." And he's like, "Oh, that's fantastic. I'd love to sit down and interview you," because it just shows how powerful those tools have evolved, that someone with zero experience can just jump in and do something.
Wow, I'm just trying to show one of my collages, but it's not coming through, and I like the effect though.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I like the moon there.
Oh, I like that.
That's funny.
I could
I
see
don't
some
know.
of it. Keep it up for a second. Let me shift and see if it'll give you any better
Let,
of a
let me
representation.
change. Let me change the settings so I can show it. Give me a second.
I was going to see if I could make you a little larger.
No backgrounds. How about this? Oh, that works. Yeah, this is it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's
not one
very
of my.
NASA
It's not one of my best.
NASA-esque. Yeah, I like that.
It's kind of dark, right? You
It
like that?
is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of that painting I was telling you a moment ago of my father in his studio with the starry sky behind him, and he's kind of like at the top of the Empire State Building in an office and looking out upon the world. Who that is a Freak Show, right? Is that where that's from?
One of us. One of us. I like the
Okay.
way this works. I can blend myself into this one. Like, oh,
Yeah, that's good magic
one
right
of
there.
us. One of us.
Um,
Oh, this is fucking funny. I'm gonna keep this one
Is
on.
that Asylum? American Horror Story Asylum?
I'm not sure. No, no. It's
I don't know
a different
exactly where
thing.
that
I think
photo's
it's called the
from.
Freaks. I think it's called the Freaks.
Because I
Not
see
sure.
the nun. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, American Horror Story did a play on that, and they had a similar. But I do remember that. I vaguely recall that from somewhere. It's funny. Let's give a couple shout outs. We've got some happy, good looking, sexy people out in Happy Land. Creek Mary's here. Good to see you as always, Creek Mary. The link is in the chat box if you want to join. She says she's at her sister's house. And then we've got GTGT. I'm not sure if are you familiar with GTGT?
GT,
This is
GT,
someone
GT,
this is
GT.
someone new to me. He says art something you learn over time or is it something you're born with? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Both,
What
both,
do you think about that, boy?
both. There's people that just have it in their fingers, right? But there's also people that can learn how to make art. But
Yeah.
definitely there's people gifted. I mean, I've seen artists copying classical paintings like they are the artist. So they can paint like Rodin, or sorry, they can paint like Van Gogh. They can paint like Dali. They can paint like, well, all the French artists with the pointillism. They can just do anything and make it look real. I mean, that's not faking it. That's not faking it. Um, that's getting into it. So no, there's definitely people that know how to do it. That even know how to make it look like it has a soul. Without
Yeah. Yeah.
having the soul of it, put into it. So no, yeah, no, it definitely is both. Definitely is both.
Sure. Creek Mary's here. Let's give her a Mary. Welcome. Good to see you. How are you doing this evening or morning, afternoon?
This works.
I think Creek Mary is having problems with her microphone. Can you hear her? I can't hear her.
I can hear Creek Mary. No. She'll figure it
No.
out though.
Okay, Creek Mary, welcome. Yeah, your microphone's not coming through.
She's pushing
Maybe
buttons.
you have it turned off or
She's an amateur. Give her some time.
no worries. Yeah, so we were talking about whether it's nurture or nature. And one of the things that I found to be of interest that my old Shifu guru from the ancient Orient, he told me, is that he said that in his mind that was the meaning of evolution, that through cultivating, through reincarnation, and over many lifetimes, if you see a person who's born with an extreme talent, then it shows that they've been cultivating it through many lifetimes. And he said one thing that we do carry over from lifetime to lifetime, according to Oriental understanding, is cultivated traits. So if we work on, say, painting or kung fu or something like that for, dozens and dozens of years while we're alive, then that will be not only transferred to our descendants, but when we reappear in the prime material plane, if we choose to, trap and they can escape, which is fine and dandy. But if you do follow the wheel of reincarnation, you come back again, that you'll have a lot of those things already foundation. And like being naturally inclined towards learning, he said that shows a predisposition towards it. And neither here nor there. I'm not saying that it's written in stone or anything, but I think there's something to that. With my daughter and my son, like, because I love kung fu and movement art. Go ahead.
No, just finish your story, please. Yeah. Well, you said that there's a disconnect between people.
Did you want to respond to that?
No.
Oh yeah,
I just wanted to hear the story.
Okay.
Oh, there's the delay.
My kids were.
There's quite a delay.
A little bit. Sounds like there is, yeah. So I'll continue with it. A little. When my kids were growing up, I had a boy and a girl, and to ingratiate a little bit of that into her, and she was very resistant to it and reticent, and she didn't want to learn like movement arts per se at all, really. Like she just didn't have any natural talent with it or any inclination to do it. And then when my son was born a couple of years later and he was growing up, like I showed him a few things, like he was bouncing around, and I'm like, hey kiddo, try some of these movements. And I just showed him like very, very rudimentary type things. And he launched into like constant routines. He was doing like jump kicks and backflips and going through forms and shit. And it blew my fucking mind. Like my head literally exploded. Like, and it was done in like the style.
So it triggered his memory, right? His ancient memory.
Right. Is that what it is? Somehow, I don't know. Or was it like genetic transfer? Was that all in him because I had already done it for the last 30 years,
Well, either one. Yeah, it might be both, right? Or
combination. Yeah, exactly. Somehow both. Yeah, but it blew my mind, and I was like, and then I looked at my wife, and I'm like, do you fucking see him doing this shit? And she's like, yeah, all Chinese can do kung fu. And I was like, bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. She wasn't shocked at all, but go ahead.
Now we hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Push enough
loud and
buttons.
clear.
Nice. Well, you pushed the right button there. I cannot see you, but I can already hear you.
Oh God, you don't want to see me.
Welcome, Leonian Creek Mary.
I haven't even washed my face.
I hate it when you come on stream and you haven't washed your face already. Yeah.
I know it. Oh, I can't even find my comb. God.
Yeah, fair enough. Morning ritual, according to the old Qigong guys. They say first thing you want to do is go over, splash a little water in your face, throw open the window, and take a few deep breaths. Invigorate.
That's what I usually do. First thing is open the door and see what's outside.
Yeah. So have you been keeping up a little bit with what we've been talking about? Did you hear about Voi's synchronistic news about a painting coming up, and as well as the transfer of like I was saying a moment ago, the transfer of kung fu to my son, and the transfer of this idea of the stoic, the band type energy to your was it nephew, I believe?
Yeah.
Or cousin?
There was I don't know how to call this in English, but it's my sister's son. So how would you call that?
Nephew.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, dude. And I already seen some clips of him, and he has the same issues though with singing, and as I do, even though he took singing classes, but he still needs to grow a bit. But he's so comfortable on stage. It's like, yeah, that's how I'm very comfortable on stage. I don't mind being on
Okay.
stage, you know.
Wow, that's a nice place Mary's got there. Wow, that's really pretty.
Oh, it's my sister's
Okay.
place. World's still
That's
out there.
interesting. That's interesting to me, Voy, that you're comfortable in front of or being on stage. Like that's something I've always had great anxiety with.
Oh yeah,
In smaller crowds, I do better, like 30, 40, 50 people. But I've been on stage with 200, 500, 1,000. That's a little more
that scares me
intimidating
too,
to
dude.
me.
That scares me too. I mean, I'm comfortable on stage in real life, but and also I don't mind streaming, and being a personality. But once I did this stream, and there was like 350 people watching us, and
Holy cow.
I totally felt silent, like, oh, I don't even know what to say anymore. So
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I've been doing stand-up comedy here in Beijing since like the early days when I first got here. And yeah, good to see you, Mary. And we grew like me and this one other guy. He's like, we need to do bigger shows. He's like, we need to do shows that have 2,000 people in the audience. And so me and him, and he
Holy
thought
cow.
that my idea was good enough to lead. And so I was like the lead, and he got four people to open for me. And the amount of fucking pressure that created in my brain was like almost insurmountable because
yeah,
I never felt like my material was that good. But he watched me for a couple of years and he's like, you can develop your material and he says you can be the fucking headliner. And
wow,
so yeah, that's where Frank Monday came from was Beijing stand up. And
uh-huh.
this was like 2011, maybe 2012, something like that. Yeah, so we sold out I think 3 different weekends of venues that sat around 2,000 people. And I would never do it again, to be honest with you. I think that level of pressure is just way too high.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can
Yeah,
understand that. Yeah.
maybe as an opener, like a 5 to 10 minute guy,
Right?
but trying to do like the full 30 minutes. Yeah, fuck all that. Maybe with another 10 years of practice, but yeah, that's high level shit right there. That's big magic.
But
And I was
you
casting.
went, through it, right? You did it. You experienced
I
it.
did it. Yeah, I did it. No matter how hard I was pissing my pants, but and I did some high level spells too, because you're spelling at that point, you're doing
Yeah.
big magic.
Yeah.
You're influencing the minds and feelings and hearts of that many people at one time in a place. Like you have to be very, very very dialed in and careful with what you're doing. But yeah,
Have
it
you
was
ever
it was
been on
fun.
stage like that, Greek Mary?
Yes, I have. I have sung in public. And that was big because,
Okay.
well, I was really shy and I flunked my first semester of speech class because I wouldn't get up in front of class. I said, go ahead, flunk me.
Okay.
But I made myself take a class because it scared me.
Hmm.
Because it scared me, I made myself do it. And now I'm unstoppable. But yeah,
But
I
I
sing
mean,
in public.
you also address city council and everything, right? I mean, you're pretty active in
Oh,
that
golly,
too.
make me mad. Heck yeah, I'll get up and speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'll get
good.
up and fight. And half the time I don't remember what I say, but I'll get up and they'll know I said
I
something.
think it's important. I think it's important, and I think it's a part of a person's like general cultivation as they rise up and grow up in society. Like you were saying, she speaks to what did you
City
say?
council.
Council,
City
city
council.
council.
Yeah, city
Yeah, I think
council.
yeah. Once you arrive at like your 40s and 50s, I think that's essentially part of your duty in a democratic
Oh, I'm older
society
than
that
that.
you have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
be
just
an
saying in
elder. My
general,
sister's
in
a
general.
No, but you're right.
business.
When you get more
Okay.
time for yourself, and things are settled a bit, like you said, in late 30s, 40s, maybe 50s, one needs to be productive to the environment, to society, that's around you, not the world, but yeah,
Right. And because it's a natural transition point too, right? You see the
yeah,
next generation coming up and you have to make some good choices for them and have some sort of influence that can benefit their future and their children's future and all of this on down. Because like I really don't buy in with the nihilists who are like, it's this, that, or the other thing, whether they be religious or atheistic or whatever, or save the planet, this type of thing. In some way, if we don't continue the game, right, then the game ends. And is that what really anybody wants? Do they want just fucking game over and lights out for everyone? I don't think so, because then why are we here?
Some
It,
people
it seems to
do.
me that if our they do. I don't know where that's
Some people
coming
do.
from. Because, like, if
Well,
that's what they want, then what was ever our purpose, right? The upshot would be nothing from that.
yeah,
from what I have heard and read, they believe that if they help destroy the world, then they are working with God's plan to bring was Armageddon. So they feel
yeah. To
like
bring
they're
Right. Yeah.
justified to
no, but
bring the
that's
end of the world.
that's Zionism. Yeah,
Is that what that is? That's
yeah.
crazy.
Right. Is
I
that
mean,
what it's
God's
called?
gonna
I
end the
believe it was
world
a certain
without me.
rabbi was Frank something, right? The Frankists.
Yeah,
That was their whole gig. Well, yeah. I mean, does
yeah.
it
That's
if
right.
it ends,
I'm
then
mistaken.
that
I'm
implies.
mistaken. Zionism with Frankism. Thank you for correcting me there. Yeah, that's Frankism. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I can't buy into that because, like, if you put an end to it, a necessary end, and I
Mm-mm.
know all things under natural law, they have to have beginnings and ends, expansion, collapses, this type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But this is a false dichotomy. And if the Lord is anything, if the God, if the ultimate Godheaded source, whether it's the Yod He Vahe or Allah or whatever you want to articulate it as, if it's really anything, then it means that it's endless and it's beyond our conception to that extent, I believe, or
yeah,
at least I think I've
Yeah.
perceived too directly.
yeah. That makes
And God
sense.
didn't need my help. If God's gonna end the world, He can do it without my help. I don't need to run that show.
Well, here's the thing too,
That's
like
what they want to do, run the show.
so many of these so
But
many
these,
so
but
many
these,
of
but
these
these people, these
go ahead, yeah.
Frankists, they are children of the devil per definition.
Yeah.
So they think that God needs their help. That's the arrogance of these people.
Right.
I
And
don't
not
think
only
God needs
that,
help.
you have to you from a broader perspective, like we have to know that, like, okay, so here's I want to paint a little bit of a picture here. Many of the people here in the panel verse or in other places, they bring forward these sacred books of wisdom and these documents. And let's take the Bible, for example, or the Quran, right? And it's
Mhm.
essentially like it has prophecy, it has revelation, and it's a playbook that was written by these guys hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, that they say this is the way they want to play it out, right? And so the Frankists, their big idea is that if we do these things and bring about these things, then we're fulfilling the playbook, right?
Thank
And
you.
so it's
Thank you.
imagine if I script a magical tale and I say these are the way things are going to go down for such and such or so and so, and then I work to implement those things, then later I could say, hey, look, I was a prophet, right? All of these things I said came true. Well, yeah, it's because you predicted them and then you did them. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing to that equation.
Look
That's
at
more like a
Mary.
business
She gets
plan.
her coffee. Look at Mary. She gets her coffee just handed to her. I mean,
Yeah, that's nice, huh? That's
right? Such a queen.
she's she,
My sister's a wonderful hostess. She is. And I
she's
did bring my cream in.
programming servitors.
Is she your
Yeah, that's
younger
good.
sister
Mm.
or older sister?
My younger sister. Mm. Oh dear.
It's a good coffee, huh?
Hmm.
Cheers.
Oh, I forget. There was a conversation. I'm like, oh golly,
Yeah,
yeah.
coffee drinkers.
Anyway,
Yeah, for me, coffee drinkers unite around. You guys are familiar with the French Enlightenment guy Voltaire, the philosopher.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with some of the coffee stories about Voltaire?
No.
He said
no.
it was said that he was consulting his physician, and his doctor said that be careful because he drank a lot of coffee, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But he said you should be careful because coffee is a slow poison. And he said it must, and Voltaire responded to his doctor, his physician, and he said it must be really slow. I've been drinking 50 cups a day for, he says, I've been drinking 50 cups a day for 70 years. It must be really
Mhm.
slow. So Voltaire was
You
rumored to
must
drink
have.
between 50 and 70 shots of espresso a day. So, and he
Oh,
lived to 86. Yeah. So
dang! No
that's my
wonder.
point. All right. Yeah, coffee's not going to hurt you.
I mean, that's why he was
Mm-mm.
called Voltaire, right? Because he was so fucking loaded all the time.
He was volted up.
Ah,
Yeah, indeed.
he
And he
was like,
wrote endlessly. 40,000 documents are attributed to him. So
wow.
No wonder.
that's nothing to sneeze at, right? Oh.
But some people just have to say things. We're on the
They do.
internet,
They've got a lot to say. Internet's a place
so
to
he
do it,
was.
right? This is the public forum.
Well, yeah. Well, people can't even write anymore. They're hardly literate, so you can't write, you can't read because nobody's able to read. So you have to talk. And now they're taking the
Yeah.
language away little by little.
Came to, yeah. When I first came to China, I looked back at my journals from high school and college, and I preferred to print all of the time because my father was a great printer. He printed, he wrote things in print, which in all capitals and mostly, very stentorian, very stoic, very clear. But my mother always criticized my cursive. And I looked at some of my cursive, and it was really bad. So I concentrated for an entire decade, 10 years. Every single day I concentrated on my pen and my hand. In
Hmm.
easy to do. And it took me 10 years though, and this is after college. And I daily, at least 10, 15, if not 20 minutes a day, and any time throughout the day, I took the opportunity to write in cursive my name and lengths of script, 30, 40 minutes at a time sometimes. But
What?
yeah, it took me
Hmm.
it took me solid 10 years to get
Wow.
my script up to a point where I felt like it's nice. Now we're going on 20 years later, right? So I gave up my effort after 10 years. I mean, I didn't give up my
Now
effort,
I want
but
to see
I
your
relaxed.
handwriting. Now I want to see your
Yeah.
Oh,
handwriting.
it's not great. It's not great, but it's legible and it's fluid and I can do it with ease. So yeah. Um I'll show
So
you something, I guess. Let me
here's my
see.
story about handwriting. I came back from South Africa. We emigrated
Yeah.
to South Africa, and then we emigrated back. And I started my first school day, and I apparently I had this new handwriting, just block letters, right? Just capital letters. So I wrote
Right,
everything in
right.
capital letters. And this one guy, this one teacher, Mr. De La Viter, he was a Schwarzkopf from Switzerland, strange enough. Um, and he just gave it back to me. He said, "I can't accept this. You need to
Nice. Straight into the fucking trash can, right?
right."
No, he gave it back to you.
And dude, I developed a new handwriting in one day. I was like, okay, I won't do my old handwriting. Somehow I didn't want to do my old handwriting because that looked like a child's handwriting, right? And so I think that's why
Mm.
I just wrote in capitals. And then I
Yeah, and
developed
see,
I
that's the
developed a new
thing too.
handwriting in just one day, just because he said so. You know,
That's something you cultivated through lifetimes, though. This is something I was talking about a moment ago. A guy doesn't just jump. See, when we're young, we see this. Another kid will jump on the fucking piano and be able to knock out a Beethoven or Chopin, whereas
right?
we struggle with doing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star,
Yeah,
right? And then
Yeah.
you feel insufficient internally. You feel like, oh, I'm not good enough. Look, this kid can do it, and they've had very little training. And here I am, I've been struggling for 3 or 4 years and I can't get anything done. This
yeah,
is where I think we need to back off and realize that if genius was measured by talent or ability and talent, then a fish on land would be, nothing. Whereas we have to realize our surroundings and our environment. Oh, anyway,
Thank
to
you.
make my point is there are certain things like certain people are born with eloquence or an ability, and I'll bring this back to a Chinese Olympic coach. He was a ping pong coach in LA, and he was reported on in a newspaper during the 1988 Olympics in Los Angeles, California. And the interviewers from the LA Times asked him, they said, why are you able to create constant gold winning ping pong players other than the fact that they're Chinese? He was a Chinese coach. And he said, I will have a good ping pong player do the things they're good at 10 hours a day or eight to 10 hours a day. 80% of their training will be the strike that they do well. And he said, then they'll do 20% of their training on strikes they do poorly. He said, other coaches do the opposite.
yeah,
They train a lot of time on the things that the individual doesn't do well. Like
yeah,
if your backhand sucks, you got to do 80% backhands to try to get it better. He's like, fuck all that. Do the things you do well and master them.
yeah.
And I think there's something to that. I think
No,
there's
there is
something to
there is a
Mhm.
that.
lot of course there's something to it. You know, you gotta do what comes easily to you. That's, I mean,
I'll,
otherwise you
I'll
will
show
not, otherwise you will not feel connected to the thing that you're doing. No, it's
I'll show
in,
you
I think
my
it's
writing at this point.
backwards.
Yeah, I guess it probably is. Doesn't matter. You get the general gist of
Yeah,
it, though.
yeah. Well,
Trying
it
to
looks
So here
good.
enlarge the
I wrote a quote
screen.
by Cicero here. It's funny, in the astral realm, numbers and words appear backwards as well. So while you're dreaming and you see numbers and words, they'll appear just this way, and you have to make your mind malleable enough to reverse them instantly because you
Yeah.
see things from all directions. And so this is a common thing. Anyway, yeah. So
Have
here's
you heard about
a character, VV. But yeah, it's got a bit
like
of
red?
articulation and flavor to it now. But my main point was to make it easy enough that I could write from my mind without struggling. And so that's why. And at the same time, I wanted to please my mother, even though she had passed away. And I'm like, I need to make. And here's another thing. Spiritually, they say that the spirits can watch us writing, but they don't do writing and they don't imprint things in the spirit realm the way we do here.
Mm.
I find a lot of similarities between the Native American spirituality and the Chinese as well, Miss Mary, because I know that you are a descendant
Hmm.
of those great people. And here,
Oh yeah.
if the white man had embraced the Indian culture and its spirituality to the extent that they lived in harmony together, we'd have the most powerful nation on earth. I mean, we already do, but we'd have an even more beneficial nation in the U.S.
Well, it seems like they don't ever really want to do that, though. I was having a discussion the other day, and it seems like wherever they go, they want to tell people how to do their business better. Even though people have been there and been doing it, they know better, and they go in and tell everybody how to do it right.
Yeah, like even
And
Voy was
some
just telling
and
us
they,
a minute ago, they're trying to bleed it out of us. They're trying to bleed our culture out of us, make
mm,
us all
well,
homogenous.
I heard a story one time about uh, white people. They went to a village and said, "You need to plant your corn over there on that field. Why don't you?" Like stupid people. And they were like, well, "Go ahead." So they did. They planted their field over there. And then when the elephants did their annual walk through the field, they lost it. And they said all you had to do was ask the people why. They did.
Oh. Yeah, there's an interesting story from Carlos Castaneda. I believe it's from, or maybe it's from the Celestine Prophecy, and there were the folks that had showed up and were trying to learn, but they said that they grew certain crops together. They called them the Three Sisters. I believe
Yeah.
it was corn, beans, and squash. And they would
Yeah.
plant them in hills together. Or they'd make a mound and plant all three together so the corn would grow up and support the beans, and then the squash would create giant leaves that would shade the soil to keep it moist. And so these
I
three,
remember that.
yeah, you remember
Hmm.
that? That was the Celestine prophecy, I believe. Is that correct? I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it rings a bell, and it has something to do with perma. How do you call this? Perma planting, perma, like
Yeah,
Permaculture.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, permaculture.
I used to be in that. I was in food sovereignty, Muskogee Creek food sovereignty program for a while. And that's what we did. We encouraged agriculture, um, growing your own food, safe food,
Hmm.
non GMO, all of those buzzwords. I know all those buzzwords and I know what they mean.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
I think it was you, Voy, that mentioned recently when we were talking about the Negros and the people of Chem, that the first chemists were farmers. Did you say that
Yeah,
to me? Is that right?
yeah. Kmet, kmet in Slavic is the word for farmer. Kmet. And that's just like alchemy. I'm sorry, it's a bit of a reach, but still, it makes sense to me. That's the first chemistry that these plants grow well if I throw some eggs on them, or like permaculture, right? Like the three crops that grow together so well. That's chemistry, right? That's alchemy.
Hmm.
And yeah, and kmet, yeah, kmet. So the word KMET, that's it, and that's chem. That's chem, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And the early Chinese as well, like they invested heavily in that. Their
Yeah.
first they have three legendary kings that organized the people supposedly. And the first one dates back to 50 to 100,000 years ago. And his name was Fu Shi. And he was basically a naga, like head of a human, head and torso of a human with a snake body, right? And
Uh-huh.
he supposedly
Mm-hmm.
he supposedly he organized the people into nesting and husbandry and fire. So he was their Prometheus rising, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He brought the people fire and how to create nests like wigwams and
How to have a
teepees and
home
this
and a
type of thing.
family around a fireplace, right?
Right. And then their main source of nourishment was husbandry, like herding and gathering and what is the word? Nomadic type lifestyles. And then, so that was a legendary emperor who reigned from 100,000 years ago to 50,000 years ago. And then from 50 to 20,000 years ago was Shen Nung. And he was the next emperor. And supposedly he brought to the people silk clothing, architecture,
Yeah.
agriculture. He's accredited with like gunpowder and the compass and feng shui and things like these. But he also brought forward medicine, and medicine was, like you just said, Voy, was the first form of alchemy. Like whatever nourishment you put into the soil is what nourishment you grow, is what nourishment comes into the person. And so they said always that food is the first medicine. And
Yeah.
Hmm.
as long as you control that from the ground up, then you can have you very healthy immortal type people. And
Yeah.
so he lived for supposedly 30,000 years.
Yeah.
And I think that
And the
if you,
next one, oh, go ahead. There are three. There's one more
no,
I
go
want
Yeah. I
ahead.
to
wanted to hear
mention.
the last.
But go ahead
Is
and
it the
people
Yellow
can
King? Is it the Yellow King?
yeah, that was him, the Yellow Emperor.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know what he did? So one of his greatest achievements was that he supposedly, now this may be controversial, but this was the ultimate fall of the golden age. he banished the beast tribes from inner China. So
Uh-huh.
he was the first one to engage in military affairs. And the reason is because they have a really long book on this. It's called the Shanhai Jing, or the Book of Mountains and Seas. But supposedly the world was still in a primordial state at that time, and many people grew double or triple heads, multiple arms, tails, stuff like this, right? Um, they were chimeric beings everywhere. They were like very uh, profligate,
There's
right?
many depictions. There's many depictions of that too, right? Especially in alchemical imagery. Yeah.
That's right. And they had great magic and huge power, like the giants as well,
Yeah.
and all of these different things. And he was the first one to unify the language and push everyone that was non-human out of the equation. And they attribute this to the Han. They said that we are as we are today, me, you, her, Creek, Mary, fucking Voy, everyone. This five finger, five toe, five limbs, like a head, two arms, two legs, five. They said that this five-pointed equation was the supreme manifestation of God in the prime material plane, and that everything else should be divided and discerned clearly. So goats should become goats, monkeys should become monkeys, and that we were the heavenly descendants. We were the descendants of the celestials, and that
Makes
we
sense.
should reign on
That
earth.
does
Yeah,
make
so it's
sense. Yeah.
kind of an interesting thing. Anyway, Mary, your response. You had a response, if you recall.
Oh, I was just talking about plants and health, and a lot of times, if people are able, a lot of times you'll know what's good for you because it'll just feel good, and it ends up, it'll be
Yeah.
medicine. So I think that's what animals do
Yeah, my grandmother
when they
did
start
that.
eating grass.
She was an Appalachian Tennessean, and there was a plague of mange running through all the dogs in her county one time. And she said she grabbed her Bible and looked up some verses and then prayed and went into meditation. And the Lord made a plant start to grow next to her house. And she always said the angels. She didn't talk about God
Mm-hmm.
directly because she didn't have that kind of arrogance, right? But she said the angels would show her, and she said they put a heavenly aura around these plants and then actually whispered to her how to utilize it, how to take it out of the ground, how to
Wow.
clean it, how to boil it, how to extract a tincture from it, and then put that on the mange on the animals. And she went through the entire county and healed all of the animals' mange. And that was entirely based on prayer and angelic insight. Yeah,
Wow.
so
That's what I've
and the
heard, that the
Chinese they
plants kill you.
That's some good story. I want to hear some good magic from you there, Frank Monday. Good magic.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
good magic. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
The Chinese say that all of Chinese medicine is derived from that method, direct
Uh-huh.
communion with the celestials,
With the
the angelic
plants.
forces. Well, yeah, not the plants themselves, but the illuminated energetic beings that dwell in the realm
Mm-hmm.
beyond, that understand these things. And the plants, the Celestine prophecy would tell us it's the spirit of the plant. And
Yeah.
interestingly enough, Creek Mary, I've penetrated into that. I've seen that before. It's rare though. It's
Well,
rare that I've experienced that.
plants will kind of tell you what you need, what they do.
Right.
Because that's
Okay.
what I
Yeah,
heard, that the
you talk.
plants talk to some people
Sure,
and
talk on it.
tell people.
Yeah. There's this Bach remedies, right? And it's also phytotherapy. Phytotherapy is what it's called, like using plants to as a medicine, phytotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And so this woman came up with this Bach remedies, and she didn't want to tell the people that asked her, like, how did you come up with this? And she said, well, I'm not going to tell you because I'm afraid that it will be abused if I tell you how I got to this knowledge. And that actually makes sense to me, right? So she said, well, here's the result. You should use this for that and that for this. And I'm not going to tell you how I found that answer. but it works. And I'm sure that she was. I'm not sure, but I think that that has to do with the angels. It has to do with just with prayer and asking, and yeah.
Yeah, like I discovered that in the simple equation, like you know how sometimes in the, I forget exactly who did it, but they'll take an entire sentence affirmation, like I need a new car to appear in the near future soon, right? Like you need a vehicle or something. Anyway, it's a form of magic. I'll recall his name as I go forward, but then you eliminate all of the vowels from the sentence and then reduce all of the reduplicated consonants, and then you come up with just those essential letters, very similar to Hebrew because Hebrew has no vowels.
Yeah.
And then you condense those letters into a sigil that contains your intent of what you want to appear. It's a form of magic, sigil magic. I can't remember the exact gentleman's name who wrote the book on it, but
But the
this
same
form
goes.
of
The same
reduction
goes for
or
Arabic.
distillation, it arrives at a very poignant type thing.
Yeah, but the same goes. It's not only
Say
Hebrew.
again.
Yeah, it's not only Hebrew that leaves out the consonant, that leaves out the vowels. It's also the same goes for Arabic.
Yeah,
Arabic.
Arabic, yeah,
Yeah.
Arabic. Um, so this distillation process, you arrive at a single sigil, and mysticism is focused on this, like the simple Tai Chi symbol or the five-pointed star, or something that by staring at it, you can unlock the information that has been reduced into it.
Yeah.
And so, why did I want to say this? Oh, because all things come from this essential type of seed energy, like its entire life cycle is imprinted on its most basic form, right? Like in a seed when you're growing things. You have
Right.
the
Yeah.
entire plant. You have an oak tree in an acorn and hundreds of thousands of more fractal oaks inside of that single acorn. And so this basic abundance in creation is very apparent. Why
Yeah.
was I bringing it here? What were you talking about, Voy, as I went on to this tangent?
No, I don't know. I mean, we're just having a good conversation, dude. I mean, don't ask me
Yeah,
where it
there was
started. It was you.
yeah,
It was you, Frank.
uh,
It was you.
there was a leading point. There was an upshot to it. Good God, I wanted to bring something forward. There was really
We're just doing good
some
magic, and
quintessence there.
now you forgot
That's
all about
right.
the good magic. What?
No, I remember. Yeah, maybe it was so important that the angels are trying to keep it secret.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll make you forget things,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen that
Not
happen a lot, like almost daily.
to,
Yeah.
to dare to know and to be
And
silent.
sometimes
They'll
they say they
silence
meant for
you.
you to know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember decoding the Voynich manuscript, and I was writing down what the method, and then I burned it the next day. And the next thing I read in the Voynich manuscript was, "It was a good thing you burned that."
Hmm.
Yeah, it's only meant for
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
it's
Hmm.
interesting that you have these tendencies because I've noticed this in like maybe three or four things that you've said, Voy, like this rashness. Man, maybe I would define it that way, but like your sun sign and then your Chinese sign, they are much more geared and apt toward preservation and conservation and in making long, like deliberate decisions. So it's interesting to me that like in what you've told me in several things, more than one, more than three, I've detected a lot of fire. So I'm suspicious that there are some fiery elements in your zodiac.
there should be. Should be.
It may be your Mercury, and
I'm
I'm
gonna
no
go be
astrologer.
Oh
sociable.
yeah, yeah. Mercury is big on. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of
Oh,
Mercury.
Miss Mary Moon, are you going to? Okay, you're going to leave us. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for tuning in. Certainly appreciate you
I
being
might
here.
come back. I'm gonna go be
Okay.
sociable.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Much love
yeah.
to your
I mean,
sister.
your
Tell her
sister
we
just
said
fed
hello.
you coffee and a cigarette and some breakfast. Yeah.
Vitamins and oatmeal with
I mean,
giant berries in it.
right? I saw that.
You,
That looked delicious. And
Yeah,
and
that's
it
good
Oh, my
almost
news.
looks
sister
like
is a good
it almost
hostess.
looks like you washed your face.
Yeah,
Not
you're
yet. I
looking
just look
especially
like that.
beautiful. No, you're
New
looking beautiful.
ashtray.
You're looking beautiful and youthful and invigorated. So yes, enjoy some sociability with your sister. And greetings. Good magic to you.
She's not talking to anybody but Keanu Reeves. So you get Keanu Reeves on here. She's up.
Yeah, tell her my son looks like Keanu Reeves. Really,
I
really
believe
His
it.
does.
son
I
looks
totally
like
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. Mm-mm.
German
Nah.
No
father, German
except no
father,
substitutes.
Chinese mother. No,
No.
yeah, he's better
She doesn't
looking.
accept any lookalikes. No.
Yeah, my son's even more handsome because he's gonna live another 50 years looking good, whereas Keanu Reeves is done. He's done with the game.
It's all in the genetics, bone structure.
Absolutely,
I will see
that
y'all.
Asian Caucasian mix. Yeah, good magic
Ciao,
to you,
Mary.
Mary. Okay, so Voy, we left off, and thank you. Yes, with the idea of building from, and so that's what I've always believed is the supreme method. And when I found, I'm not sure if you're familiar or not with the Golden Dawn, the Hermetic Brotherhood of the Golden Dawn.
Nah, it rings a bell, but I don't know what bell it rings.
Okay, so they based they based a lot of their, we're talking like Israel Regardie, McGregor Mathers, Arthur Edward Wyatt, Samuel Little Mathers, and who's the other one I'm fucking missing? Oh, Aleister Crowley. You're probably familiar with him.
Mm.
He was kind of a latecomer. Black Sabbath, the 1980s rock and roll band, did a song about him, right? Mr. Crowley. You familiar with that one? What went on in your head?
No.
Oh, Mr. Charming.
But I
Ozzy
mean,
Osbourne. Ozzy
yeah, I mean,
Osbourne, you know
also
Ozzy
also
Osbourne.
the Beatles were also into that, right? Very much
Yeah,
into that.
they were all in connection with Crowley because he was supposedly a double agent working for the crown and at the same time infiltrating American military. He had some connection with Jack Parsons, the guy who developed like solid state rocket missiles,
Yeah.
and later the birth of Jack Parsons laboratory and Raytheon. I don't think there's any connection to the other one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. My main point. What's my main point? Oh, in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, they bring forward a breathing method, which is a very simple breathing method. It's called the fourfold breath, and it's based on the name of God, right? Yod He Vav He, the four Kabbalistic elements of fire, water, air, and earth. And so, as you say, you know Jehovah, right? The name of God, the in the Hebrew tradition. As you say it from the Yud is a bolt. It's a flame of plasma. It's the plasma energy, right? It's the fire element. So as you say Yud, you inhale on a count of four because everything's done in four. It's four folds, four seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, right? So one complete cycle is inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And the first inhale, the inhale is Yud. Hold on Hey, which is a door, a closed door, right? The character of the Hebrew character Hey is a closed door, so you close the door of breath and hold, and then vowel, which is the exhaling. It's a long yud. It's a yud with a single stroke
It's a
down throughout
vowel.
the
It's
entire.
also the basic word. It's also the stem of the word vowel, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Sound.
then on the last, on the hey final, you hold again. And so
Yeah.
this easy to do, simple breathing method, you do it four times. You inhale for four, hold for four, exhale for four, hold for four, and then do that four times. And
Uh-oh. Are you back? No. Okay, I'm just gonna do this breathing exercise that you told me. There you are.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, excellent. God, where did I leave off? What was I saying?
You were talking about Jehovah breathing exercise, which I was performing when you,
Okay,
yeah.
excellent. And so the point I wanted to bring forward is I just made a recent discovery in my ceremonial magic. So do you know anything about the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram?
No.
Okay, so I'll give you the basics. You have an altar in front of you, or you imagine one on the astral. So you can do this just mentally, right? Closing your eyes and imagine that in front of you, you have a basic working altar, like a small table, a square, 4 by 4 square table or whatever, and you're facing east towards the rising sun. And so you walk out and you want to form a circle, a working circle, a magical circle of protection that is around that altar. Am I still coming in or not? It looks like I disconnected again.
No, I can hear it clearly.
Okay, fantastic. And so you circumambulate the altar clockwise if you're doing productive magic, and counterclockwise if you're doing destructive magic. But we won't go there. You should never do that. But anyway, you as you go out to the east, you greet the rising sun and you do a star in that direction and you invoke a god name, right? It's a four-lettered god name in Hebrew. And then you trace the circle down to the south as the sun approaches its zenith, and you do another pentagram right into the air, and then you invoke another four-lettered god name in Hebrew, and then you continue your circle to the west as the sun sets beyond the mountains, right? And so you're following what we call heavenly law. You're following the sun's transition through the sky in your magical workings, and you complete it in the north with the sun below the horizon in Hades, right? The black sun, as it were, and you do another four-lettered god name and then a pentagram, and you move back to the east to complete your circle and seal your circle before you start doing your magic. So it's basically the casting of the circle. Each point has a certain series of visualizations and sounds and elements. And but anyway, the thing I realized that in a single breath, the fourfold God, right? You have this God with four faces on one head, right? And so Jehovah, that fierce like thunder bringer that comes down from the sky and invigorates the early man. I'm not saying he's the God everybody should serve or he's the correct one, or the Arabians call him Allah. Like I've seen him and been there, and it's so you do the fourfold breath on a single rotation: east, south, west, and then north, and then back to the east, and that completes it. It like brought up such higher levels to my magic when I realized that. it's
I
it's a
can
big
imagine.
deal.
Yeah, that should work. Of course, that should work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's next level shit for me, because I took some of the original ceremonial rituals of the Golden Dawn, and like when I first started repracticing them again, like we'll say 20 years ago, like the Kabbalah, the tree of life, in my meditation, because I've been doing Chinese Qigong and meditation for 20 plus years, 30 years, like it fucking lit up like a Christmas tree, man. Like it all made perfect sense. I was like, the Sefer Yetzirah, the Torah, like these things they highlighted in ancient times are absolutely 100% legit. People always say, "Hey, do you believe in God? Do you believe in this, that, or the other thing?" And like Carl Jung said, I don't need to believe. I know. It's like when you come back across these schematics and you do them and you practice them and you have some like alternative perspective. It's not about belief. There's
No, it's
nothing to do with.
you find out
You
the
don't need.
results, right? When you see that,
Right,
yeah.
right. You don't need belief in faith. You have knowledge. You have understanding. you have Hokma Bina and Keter. It's fuck fun. It's crazy, but I think that that's probably my my purpose and my transmission is to gather these things which I know to be absolutely true beyond any shadow of doubt and
Yeah.
bring them forward to for the community in like a really simple workbook that would be attractive and easy to use and learn. I've seen a few of them, but none of them have the synthesis that I know. And I think that would be a unique contribution, like
So
a free
that's
PDF,
yeah.
right,
So
on Buy Me a Coffee.
that's your mission, right? That's I mean,
My
you got enough experience and skills to do that, to actually
Yeah,
perfect that. Yeah.
that would be my magnum opus. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Handwritten in manuscript form, all of the art done by myself, and then all of it compiled and advanced through technology, you know. Yeah, that's a fun. If I've got another 10 or 15 years to live, then I think I can definitely achieve that. And I think I could probably live another 30 or 35, you know. I'm only
Well,
halfway there or
you got my
more.
blessings. You got my blessings.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you have my blessings as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
interesting.
I
Go
don't have
ahead.
much hope for the rest of the world, though, and not that I want you and me to be the only survivors, but I have bad hope for the for the world in itself.
Well, there are things, and there are people trying to play out those scenarios, and they're relentless, and they're
Yeah,
ceaseless in their want.
and it's gonna happen. Whether it's gonna happen on a big scale or a minor scale, what they're planning is gonna happen. That's just as well. That's what I believe because I
Yeah,
don't know,
well,
and
you
I
no,
don't want to believe it, but
well, it is
they're
a
pretty good.
knowledge.
They're not.
It,
They don't convince me, but they convince the rest of the world. So I think it's just gonna happen.
right, right. Yeah, well, it's a masquerade, and they revealed their hand in 20
Yeah.
we'll not even say, right? Just whenever they
Right.
revealed their hand, and they showed us like if they I didn't even see how people could not fathom it anymore. Like some people are so asleep to reality that they didn't see how clearly they showed us that
They showed their
it's just one.
cards. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they showed the cards. It's that it's one world and it's already under
Yeah.
single like they're calling it AI management. And I've always defined AI as asshats and idiots, right?
I like
Assholes and
that.
idiots.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I
they
mean,
def
I mean, how about people interacting with AI and saying, "No, you're wrong," and this is why you're wrong, and then AI is saying, "Oh, oh yeah, I was wrong there." Like, what? What the fuck? Come on. I'm just asking you what two and two is, and you said it's five, AI. But I can
oh,
count. It's four, and then I ask, "Oh yes, you're right. It's four." No, I asked you a question, and you are AI, and I'm just a mere human being, and you're reacting to me like you're a human being too. Like fuck that, fuck that. That's
well, yeah,
that's
I'll present something to you too that should give you certain amount of skepticism to the predictions. So, like with the Bible, it's a playbook, and they're trying to fucking play out these revelation, right? The
yeah,
grand revelation according to their timeline. And if we just look back to like Elon Musk and some of the things he said early in the millennium, right? Not just the century, but the millennium. He said that we'd be colonizing, we would launch to Mars by 2008. We'd be colonizing Mars by 2016. We'd have a moon base by 2018. And now we're in 2025, right? And none of that has been done. It was said that according to Tesla, his line of electric cars, that we would be in a totally automated driverless society by 2016, and then all of the taxi services would be replaced by automated driving by 20, I think it was 2018 or 2017. And here we are now in 2025. We've had the great reset, right? The great darkening, the great lockdown. And
Yeah.
now here we are. We've emerged. We're almost a full decade past that, and none of that has been done. So now they're showing us anthropomorphic robots and saying, "Oh yeah, they'll be taking over everything within the next 5 years." It's like if your guys' timelines play out, then we've got another 500 years before any of that can even be close to a reality. They're so fucking far behind the eight ball, and they keep making these predictions. It's like if I'm the CEO of a tech company, of course I'm going to be telling you that my tech's going to be fucking cutting edge by next year, right? Because that makes my stock go up. So, like, the idea is that these things are in the looming, in the immediate future, are just totally not based in reality in any way. Show me some fucking missions to Mars. Show me some missions to the moon, right? Show me some robots that can actually fucking walk down the street without falling over. These things that you see on television and on the internet, they're not a reality. I've been among autonomous systems that are working to make autonomously driving cars. And you kill one fucking person and it's over. Everybody can oppose it.
Yeah.
None of that shit has launched, but it's extremely limited scenarios in limited cities. They said it would take over all trucking by, like, I think early in the year, early, we're talking like early, like 2005. They said that fucking uh long haul truckers, the guys that sit in the truck and drive fucking cargo all over the world
Yeah.
and shipping, a lot of it's become automated. 747s are automated, right? Big cargo ships on the ocean are automated, but none of the man-to-man logistics has been automated to that
No,
level.
but I mean, there's no shipper that will allow AI to take over his ship. It will
No,
allow. I
there
mean, I
there
worked
always
on
has to
ships,
be a
right?
captain.
I worked on ships, and I know about the systems that can run the rudder and the destination and the course. But you always have to keep an eye on it. Whether it's automatic or not, you still have to keep an eye on it or a hand on it. You still
Right.
have
So this
always.
this yeah,
It
this is
it
the
never
thing.
works perfectly. It might work perfectly, maybe 20
This
percent of the time, but the
this
rest of the
yeah,
time you just have to keep managing it.
so this is the great fear that I'm trying to dispel in society, is that these things cannot be run entirely autonomously. And
Uh,
like you said, there has to be a captain in charge. There has
Yeah,
to be command human elements over every single aspect of it. The rudder, there's got to be a guy fucking watching the rudder. There's got to be a guy watching this, that, or the other thing. And
yeah,
so the more systems that are created, even if AI takes over everything, right? And say that it did 10,000 years from now, then we're still a fundamental compound of that thing coming into being.
yeah,
And the greater it gets, the more of us there have to be. And that's what I
right.
mean by the abundance of the cosmos. The more machines you create, the more abundance there is, the more people
Yeah,
have to fucking hang.
it gets more intricate, and therefore it needs more.
Right.
Therefore it needs
More
more
and more
eyes.
people watching it, just hanging
Yeah,
out watching it, right?
yeah,
You do this, you do that. That's what we're doing right now. Like here's the easiest way for me to boil it down. There was a gal who came over, right? Maybe she was a prostitute, whatever. And then there was this stud, like a sports guy, and he gave her $100 or whatever, and he stuck his dick in her mouth, and he said, "Hey, look, I got my dick in your mouth." And she looked up at him with $100 in her hand and said, "Hey, look, I got your dick in my mouth." And I fucking got paid to do it, baby. So it's like that power shift is just perspective, right?
yeah,
I'm putting my, yeah, I don't have to repeat it. So
yeah.
it just that boils it all down to reality. Because I listened to a guy recently. He's a tech guru, a tech expert, and he's making all these predictions. And I was like, God, you sound like Elon Musk 20 years ago, right? What are you trying to sell me?
Well, I think that's just something that he wants to be. He wants. Of course, he's older now, but there's still this vision of in his mind of Elon Musk 20 years ago, like there is in your mind, right? And he wants to upone that.
Yeah, emulate it, become it,
Yeah,
supersede it.
yeah,
And that's the thing, man. That's the thing. They're writing playbooks that they're
yeah.
trying to live out, right? And so it's not prophecy, right? People say, hey, can you predict the future? Yeah, I'm going to get up and fucking go to work tomorrow. It's what I do.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to get up and maybe or maybe not fire up a joint, right? It's what you do. A little puff puff give. I haven't smoked weed in so long. It's unbelievable.
Fuck, dude, I smoked a very subtle joint this morning. My own, my homegrown, and
Yeah,
it's actually like the worst stuff. It's the last that I have, and it's not the best, but I got so well dysfunctional, or I was like,
yeah.
I
Well,
shouldn't
go
I shouldn't
go.
smoke this early in the morning. I'm too old for that stuff.
Right, right. Go without for 5 years in a row, and then tell me what you think. Because I'm a guy that grew up. I told you last time, Jack
Yeah,
Harlow, the
yeah,
whole movement.
yeah.
And so being a Californian and then being here, and then like I went home in 2017, 2019, 2022, and then last year 2024. So yeah, it's not every couple of years, but it's like God when you get home and you can like little puff puff give. What a thing.
Hey,
And
so
and
but
the
how about let's not talk about the weed, but how about the environment? I mean, how about the change in the environment and the
Oh, that's
architecture,
drastic too. Like if I
right?
could live in California or anywhere in the States, to be honest with you, like it's 100 times better than here. Our air quality, water quality, food quality, everything is like fucking sewage. It's like living in sewage being in China. But I'm just being honest. Um,
Really?
ob
Wow.
yeah, obviously, if you have money, no matter where you are, you've got fucking access to premium stuff, right? But
Mhm.
just in general, the level of quality on all of Asia, I would imagine, like except for like the tropical type areas, is just garbage compared to the U.S. The U.S. has clean air 100% of the time, nearly, unless you're living in like L.A. or New York or Chicago, right? And yeah, I mean, we got to take that into consideration. I live in the second largest city in China, so
Yeah.
that's nothing to sneeze at.
What's
You
it?
know what I mean?
The largest city is probably Beijing, Peking, and so you live in
Peking's
Shanghai.
second. No, Shanghai's number one.
Ah,
Shanghai's the
okay.
largest.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you live in Beijing. Uh-huh.
And it was estimated at its height at 25 million people, but after the big thing, we're like half that number now.
What?
That's what's claimed, man. I
It's
mean, if you want to go
crazy.
down conspiracy rat hole, um, and the original inhabitants of this area, I've spoken to a few. Most of them have died off over the last 20 years. But accordingly, the OG population of Peking was 20 million about 15 years before I got here.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 1980s. It was like around whatever I just said a moment ago, 2 million.
2 million
And then,
only. What?
right. And it burgeoned because of immigration from 2 million to 20 million in 20 years.
Yeah, well, that's not a natural thing. That has to happen by immigration. Yeah.
Yeah, it happened by force, by coercion. They kicked the farmers off their land to redevelop it and then sent them into all the super cities.
But then again, in 1999, the contract between the UK and Beijing ended, right? Because they signed a contract that I don't know, back in the 1600s, I think. That
Yeah,
that
they controlled Hong Kong.
right? Yeah, they controlled Hong Kong until for 400 years. So and the last year was 1999.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was here right after the aftermath of that. I got here in 01, 2001.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
that was big in the news at that time.
yeah. I can imagine. I mean, if you've been living under the thumb for like 300 or 400 years, I mean, you finally get off of it. I mean, that's you're gonna talk about that. You're gonna spurge about that for a couple of years, at least.
Yeah,
It's,
and I'll tell you from like my perspective, the huge change because I've been going down to Hong Kong since I've been here. So like I have 20 years of experience, 20 plus years of experience with Hong Kong and its transition from like British owned to Beijing controlled. And the transition has been slow. The fucking Chinese are deliberate and patient. And the rest of the world doesn't know how deliberate and patient the Chinese are, man. Like, I don't think they do. Like, we're talking about a culture that has not broken in 6,000, 5 to 6,000 years. These guys have maintained a language and a consistent push forward. I think that's something to be aware of. But yeah, so imagine they took that transition from like that set of laws, like the British laws and control and culture, and 20 years later, there's been like a very subtle shift. But the shift has been real. And if you've watched it, like you could feel how overt it can be. And especially if you live there, you know, but yeah, they're not like
but is there a like a an English town in Hong Kong, or was there an English town in Hong
yeah,
Kong?
yeah,
Like,
it's called the Nine Dragon Center, and it's like the deepest, darkest ghetto of Hong Kong.
oh wow,
Yeah, Nine Dragon area. In Cantonese, it's Gao Long Xu or Gao Long Xu, I think, and Gao
Kowloon.
Long Zhou. And then in Mandarin Chinese, in mainland Chinese, it's Jiu Long. Well, I forget. Fuck, I haven't been there in a few years. Yeah, Nine Dragons.
I think I
But
would.
that hood.
I think I will never learn to speak Chinese. It's just not. It's. I mean, it's such a different angle towards language. You know, it's like it's very speech based, right? Like
Yeah.
wah. Like it's very much about sound.
Yeah, yeah,
And
your intonation has to be very accurate or they
right,
get upset. Yeah.
yeah,
You can develop a broader base of like context and they'll start to understand you because I've learned it both academically and naturally, like by watching my children.
mhm.
And so I think that my perspective is a little bit unique. But if we get back to the Yodhe Vahe, right? Like a similar type thing, you know, that's like a
The egg,
so
the egg. That's
yeah.
Yodhe Vade. That also actually spells egg.
Wow, my father's initials in German from like his original encoding are also egg, and I named my son
There you
Edge.
go. There you go.
Yeah,
That's
the
where you had it
egg.
from. Yeah, I mean
He
that's
was the, and
yeah,
you know the first Chinese cosmology is that the entire universe was in an egg, and then
yeah,
Fuxi took his axe and broke
yeah.
out of the egg and split it and emerged from the egg. Yeah, so which came first? There's a question for you, boy. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
The egg.
It always does, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah, and
start of the
people say,
cycle.
"Well, where did the egg came from?" And I will tell them, "Well, you already asked me that question, and
That's right.
I'm the one giving you the answer because you didn't know." That's what I tell people that, right? That's what I tell people that oppose my answer. Like, well, you asked me a question, I gave you an answer, and now you oppose the answer, and you ask the same question again. Like, what's wrong with you?
That's right. That's good. That's good magic right there.
That's some good magic there, right?
Yeah. And it, to bring it back around, to bring it all back around to the original title of the transmission, Internal Alchemy, The Secrets of Internal Alchemy, is based on the egg, right? So in Chinese Qigong and meditation, everything should be rounded. So your hips are rounded like an egg, like a woman sits on an egg and she births it or whatever, and then we round our shoulders, roll them around and round the shoulders, and then you round all of the spaces between the limbs. So between your elbow and your forearm, you imagine a round, a little golf ball of energy at that joint, and
Yeah.
it's rounded, and then your hands are rounded, right? And the knee, and once you round all of this energy, then your chi, your electromagnetic energy will flow really freely from the base of the spine all the way up into the brain. And this is a kind of enlightenment, you round and gentle everything. You
Yeah.
soften and round, right? So when we fight each other, right, like the teeth, we're very sharp, we're cutting. These are very sharp, angular things, and
Long
they
tongue,
create,
long tongues,
yeah, long
long tongue.
tongues.
Yeah,
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 they create
yeah.
decay and destruction. They're cutting,
Yes, my
and we
my
should be
Slavic my
rounded
Slavic
and
my
soft.
Slavic girlfriend told me that you have a long tongue. You, your long tongue gets you in trouble. And that's just a way of them for saying you have a big mouth. You say too many loud words. People get annoyed by the words that you say. That means long tongue, long tongue. You have a long tongue like a snake. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's good magic. Um, yeah, so you have to, you got to round it and make it soft and
Yeah.
malleable. Let's see, we've got a message from Rat Blood's Retribution.
What the fuck?
Uh,
What is red?
he's, I don't
Is that
know.
Moon
Are
Rocks? Moon Rocks is red.
no? Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. Moonrock
Oh,
says what? Languages of the world unite. Oh,
yeah.
here's a big question that was posed on Jack's, I believe this morning, Jack Talcott. Um, or I posed it either this morning or yesterday. I wanted to ask, and I think this is an important question for you. Like, how do we approach a new universal morality or universal spirituality that can service and appeal for some of these goals? Jack, you know Jack Talcott, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are some of his goals are an end to war and to bring about world peace,
No,
and
I cannot be serious about Jack Talcott. Come on, dude. He's just too naive about the whole thing. And many people try to
somehow,
yeah. I mean, and that might be a good thing too, but I think it's a bad thing.
well, I think I don't know. I'm not going to think. I'm not going to put any thought into it because it's beyond me. But the I think I would think that the upshot of the thing is if the world is anything, that there isn't a dichotomy between us and that which is. So
Yeah,
this and that, subject and object, right? So
yeah.
how do we bring about peace within, right? The kingdom of heaven is within. How do we order the kingdom within? And what was the other ones he wants? Pure abundance, like people not to be enslaved by usury. And there's a third one. Oh, an end to secrets. These are the three big ideas that he has: end war, secrets, and slavery.
Mm.
So, at an individual level, in a single breath, for example, or among each other, right? Me and you, how do we end war or evil competition among ourselves? We don't do it. Me and you we have never engaged in that activity. So I think that's a foundation, that's a start, right?
Yeah.
How do we end the hatred and vitriol of rat blood? Rat blood last
Well,
yeah,
you can't.
last thing.
I mean, you just gotta let the guy live. I mean, he has enough trouble himself that he projects on these podia, and we just, leave it be or block it. I don't like the guy. I told him that I don't like him for the
Well,
reasons that he is, And he said, "Oh well, I'm gonna put a spell on you, boy."
No, yeah, articulate some
That's
of
like his
that. Like,
That's like his instinctual
but
reaction.
what were some of the reasons that led you to that belief? Like, I can think of a few right off the top of my head,
Well,
but like
first the
for you,
name.
for
Okay,
example.
first the name. The name.
Okay.
The name alone. That doesn't bring any flowers, does it? Red blood. Well, he changed his name, but it used to be even worse than that. So, and he gave me some advice saying, "Boy, you better do this, you better do that." And I told him, like, dude, you use too many bad emojis. You have a bad name. I'm not gonna listen to somebody who's worshiping the devil. Okay, who likes red blood, who puts the name red blood in his avatar. That's your main item to be known by, red blood. I mean, why do you think that I should take you seriously?
Right. Well, right off the jump, anytime somebody comes in and tells you what you should be doing, I mean, that's a bit of a red flag. It's like,
Right?
fuck, I I would never, even with all of my training and experience, I would never presume upon like an intellectual brilliance that is beyond your own reference point
Or you
and
might
say,
suggest something, right?
I
But
might, but I probably wouldn't. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but I mean, if you are inspiring, which you are inspiring, and but Access Redblood is not, and he doesn't want to be. He just wants to be destructive. I'm not going to listen to
Yeah.
any advice from somebody with a destructive name. Come on.
Well, yeah, and here was the first, like, in general, I know he's done some things. He has some level of achievement, and he had something to present, and I encountered him here on the Panelverse, and so I gave that an opportunity. I went to his show. I talked about some magic. He had some good feedback, but here's the first indicator to me that was the first red flag is that he's using blood magic, and in the Chinese tradition and in a tradition of wholeness, I think like we find so we have an equation for blood. And blood, the production of blood is a very sacred thing, and your physical body,
Yeah,
it's
you
not a
told me
fucking
about this, like the drops of water, drops of
yeah,
blood,
yeah.
drops of
So
sperm.
it's people call it a meat suit or a hell realm all the time, and it's like fuck, it's not that, man. It's an opportunity. It's a workshop for production of chemical energies. Like we get back to the farmers of chem, we're engaged in an alchemical process of creation
Yeah,
that's rooted in our origin, and we're expressing it through life and our talents and our discernments and our spiritual gifts and our artistic representation, our exploration, whatever. And to attempt to injure that, like when I was 13, I carved Satan in my fucking arm with a knife, That's that to me, that it's a state, a phase that I went through. It's something you grow beyond. Like and I only said that to connect with Axis because I know that the blood magic can be
yeah, he
it can
loves that.
be
He would
yeah, it
love
can
that.
be a power it can be a powerful thing, right? But it's like that's a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Do you know what the 13th card of the tarot is? Do you know what happens
Is
at
it death?
13?
Is it death?
It's metamorphosis. It's
Uh,
Mephisto, Mephistopheles,
uh,
Morte, right? Memento morti, to die, to transform, to sacrifice the self, right? It's suicide. It's all of these things. The
it's also an
unending,
orgasm. It's also an orgasm.
the little death, right? Petite merte, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like you can't come at me with Axis rat blood. It's just that you're what are you fucking 15 years old? For Christ's sake,
Well,
come
he
on.
acts like one. I think he's 50 years old, but he acts like 15. Yeah. Oh.
It's just sad. You can't stall in your development. You have to keep going forward, Blood magic is a thing of the ancient past. The Christ himself alleviated all mankind of that, right? No
A-
more
a-
burnt
I'm talking
sacrifices.
to somebody in chat that is asking whether he's blocked or not. Oh, it's Zephyr. Hey, am I blocked?
Um
The charcuterie board.
no, I'm posting her chats. Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Zephyr
Um,
Avoxil. I blocked her. I blocked her original account because it's so annoying when she only says like one or two words in chat. And I was like, I don't dislike her, but then again, she looks a lot like she does look like a lot like the Alefantis family. And she looks like a sister of some of these Alefantis people. But
okay, I'm not super familiar. We've had a few crossings. She jumped on and she talked a bunch of shit about Trump one day, and that like I couldn't tolerate that. So, and not that I have any fucking love, but at the same time, like, okay, here's the thing. Yeah, I break it down to like Chinese political science. Like, I don't have a voice here because I'm not in the royal family and I'm not within the inner court, and so due to the fact that I am totally ostracized from that type of participation here, like there's no reason why I should tolerate it here. Because what my old swing dance teacher used to tell me, he said we're in China, like when he was teaching class, and people would come in and they'd say, "Hey, his name was Adam Lee. He's he looked like fucking Keanu Reeves. He was half Chinese, half German, and he was from San
it's
Francisco.
like
He's
your
better
son,
looking."
right? Just like
Yeah,
your
yeah,
son. Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like my son. That's right. Better looking than Keanu Reeves in some ways. A little more plump, but very same energy. They harbor the same energy. Guys that look like Keanu Reeves, they have that energy. It's a unique fucking thing. I had to travel 12,000 miles in order to be able to create it, right? As an alchemist. With my fucking homunculus and my magic wand, right? It's a very rare thing. It's like a fucking green-eyed Chinaman. But anyway, my point being, he told me, he said, "Hey, Frank Monday, you got a request? This isn't a goddamn democracy. This is a dictatorship. And I'm the fucking tyrant." And so he would run his class with a no frills attitude. And I stuck with him for over 5 years and paid for every goddamn swing dance class. And then when he went back to the US in 2009, he left behind a co-teacher who was a Russian gal, and she immediately upped the tuition from 25 kwai per session to 50 kwai per session. And
Oh, just like fucking StreamYard did. Like what?
yeah, and I immediately quit and said, "I'm done. I'm starting my own class."
Well, that's all you needed. I guess you learned enough.
My dad told me when cigarettes went from 10 cents a pack to 25 cents a pack, he quit
Mm.
because you can't take a fucking 100% increase. It just can't be done. Can't
They,
fucking be
di-
done.
they did it on me on the tobacco. They went from $15 to $27, dude.
Holy fuck. That's one of the reasons I moved to China. Cigarettes in the US were $5 a pack. In China, they were fucking 25 cents a pack. I was like,
Right?
yeah, I know
That's
where I know.
that's why I just travel to Germany, every 6 months, and I buy my tobacco there. And
Oh,
the tobacco even tastes better and it's more fresh there because there's because they sell so much. Um, yeah.
right. And they're still claiming that we have a free market. If we had a free market, cigarettes in China right now for really high quality, no fucking additives, are about $1 to $1.25 a pack US, right? British pounds, about maybe $1
Wow.
British pounds, right? Why
We
can't I
need
just
we
buy
need to get some
fucking
we need to get some export import line between you and me, dude. I mean,
right? Why can't
yeah,
we buy cargo ships full of those and ship them to Western countries where they're $10, $15 a pack, right?
not legally, but maybe via Russia.
Well, that's what I mean. There is no free market. If it's not legal, then it's not a free market. And why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh, well, it's not the same quality. It's not past the same standards." So you're telling me that tobacco in your country is somehow safe? Is that what you're claiming? Because
Well,
we,
it is. It actually is. But yeah. But I don't run
I,
the test. I don't run the test on those. So
I worked for a graduate student. She was testing for her GRE, and she just wanted to improve her overall understanding of English according to the International English Language Testing System, which is the IELTS. And her dad was like a floor manager at a tobacco factory. And she told me the entire process from the ground up, and no chemicals were ever added to their tobacco. And the
Yeah.
reason they would sell in different grades is because, like, the lowest grade was what was swept off the cutting room floor,
Yeah.
and the medium grade what was generally processed through, and then the premium grade was what was refined and collected in a very specific manner, but
Yeah.
generally it was all the same tobacco, and they used like very little chemical processing. Charcoal flues is what they would use to cure it, so
Yeah.
like giant steel drums that would roll it and heat it in order to bleed out the moisture,
Yeah.
and that was essentially the process.
So the tobacco that I always smoked in my country is actually the most expensive one in Germany, because here it's all the
Right.
same, right? Here it's all the same, and there, of course there's middle class and even low class, but the quality brands are all the same price, and I just want this quality brand, or this brand that I like is also quality brand, but it's somehow it's the most expensive in Germany.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, that's how it goes.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
but
Um,
that actually, it tells me like, well, that's high grade stuff that you like. It's,
well, yeah. The Americans during World War II, they said that the highest quality tobacco during that entire drive, like, you imagine hundreds of thousands of people killing each other, and one of the main motivators is either tobacco or methamphetamines and coffee, right? And so the best coffee they were sourcing was from Colombia, and the best tobacco was German. They said nobody could live without German cigarettes. And yeah,
yeah,
and then what was the third one? Oh, the whiskey was all either Tennessee or Irish. And
yeah,
those were the things that were like in greatest demand going into rations and fueling the armies. You know how the American Revolution, you know how it was won was Caribbean rum,
oh yeah,
Colombian coffee, Virginia tobacco,
yeah,
and yeah, there were other things too. But like one of my, because I studied literature and my main focus at university was the revolutionary writings of the American forefathers. I spent a lot of time like reading handwritten lists by Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, and all of their military campaign endeavors were huge order lists of like
wow,
100 kilos of a certain kind of coffee, and
yeah,
then 10 kilos of that kind of coffee for the officers, and then 10,000 bottles of whatever rum, and then 150 bottles of premium rum from Cuba or whatever, and then so on and so on and so on. So there's huge lists of like beef and tobacco and whiskey and all of these things. It's like, what a wonderful thing. That's always been what has powered humanity. Good tobacco. Fuck, that's why I don't blush at the fact that you're getting your tobacco from Germany. It's been going on for over 100 years.
yeah, yeah.
We do have a comment. Do you know? Okay, so this is Zephyr Axolotl. Now, what does that second part of her name mean?
The Avoxel?
Voxel, yeah, what is that?
I don't know. I haven't looked it up.
Okay, neither have I. The first time I saw it, I thought,
A zephyr is a sea monster. I do know that.
okay.
But
And then
what a
that's
voxel means,
interesting.
it sounds like a loud, but loud. You know, zephyr, a fox, like it's like it sounds to me like the sea monster is speaking, something like that.
Okay, wow, yeah, that's interesting. Cthulhu has risen.
Something like that. Yeah, she's a witch.
Oh,
She
is
looks
she?
like a
Okay.
witch. She looks like one of the Alefantis brothers, sister. So
Who
it's
who
okay.
are the Alice? Who are they? Tell me about them, because you mentioned that a moment ago.
You don't
Who are
know
the
the
Alice Fonte?
Alefantis,
I might remind me.
and
I'll have forgotten
they're
more than
big
I.
in the pedo scene. Big in the pedo scene. Yeah.
Okay, that's not good. Yeah, don't do that.
Nah.
Along those lines, though, I'll tell you about like when I was a kid, and my mother and father, and we lived in LA, and we had a bit of a place there, but there's an interesting bed, the that's unique to California. It's called the California King, and it's essentially like two king size beds placed side by side. So it's fucking giant, and you have to have a very large room in order to house one of these California King beds. And so only the people with a mini mansion or an upper
Yeah.
middle class type of dwelling would have this type of thing going on. But the home that I was born into wasn't. It was a little more impoverished. I think it was like a 4 bedroom, something like that, a little bit smaller, and in a very suburban neighborhood. But when I turned 5 or 6, it was like between 5, 6, 7, we moved from that home into a home that had a den, a game room, a swimming pool, a
Oh.
large backyard. Yeah,
Oh.
a room for every kid, and there were 5 of us, plus a master bedroom and a large kitchen with a bar and like a waiting area. Like we moved into a very fucking substantial dwelling,
Yeah.
and yeah, I remember this because my
I.
dad had a California King at the center of the home. The bed that my dad slept on every night was a California King, and he had a huge room like at the center of the entire house that had its own bathroom. And then me and my brother shared a bathroom, and then my 3 sisters lived at the south side of the house, and they shared a bathroom. So there were 3 bathrooms, one, two, three auxiliary rooms at the south, 2 bedrooms at the north, and then yeah, so it's quite a fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, but he, like there would be some nights like when I was scared or whatever, and I'd run in and like all of us would jump on the fucking bed and play and jump around, and you could have my mom and my dad and all 5 fucking kids on the bed at imagine the power of a man who does that, like I thought about that. That's why like I kind of worshipped him as like the father god, I was the youngest child among all this shit already going on with like,
I
and he
can
was he
imagine. Yeah.
yeah, at this point he had 2 automobile dealerships. He had one in LA and then one in San Diego. And then when we moved again, when I went into high school, from junior high to high school, we moved to San Diego, and he like established everything at San Diego, and he had 3 automobile dealerships in San Diego, and then he died, and my eldest brother got everything, and I got nothing.
That's weird.
Yeah, so you go from that, like an upbringing of
Yeah.
upper middle class to, but
Pretty
here's
much
the thing.
thrown down to yourself and your own.
Yeah, down to nothing. And then
Yeah.
watching him get sick and die. And I was the only one that helped my mother through that transition, like after having lost everything and then
Yeah.
going through. But what's the upshot of it? Oh, he never raised me with a sense of entitlement. And like, if I wanted a fucking lollipop, you had to do something for the lollipop. You had to do some work and generate some income. And I bought my first car when I was 15, but it was based on me washing cars all summer long and like going out
Nice.
and cutting yards and shit and like earning 50 cents here, a dollar there, this kind of
Yeah.
thing. because we had summer jobs and we were able to do that. That was kind of a fun thing. Yeah, but I saved up all my money, like maybe 2, 3 summers, and I bought a fucking Camaro Rally Sport, a '68 Camaro Rally Sport.
Wow, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, $2,000. Well,
Yeah.
1,500. My brother gave me an extra 500, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's pretty.
almost had 2,000. Yeah, it was supposed to be 22, and my uncle talked him down to 1,800. But it had some problems. It needed tires. It needed a new carburetor. Like we took the carburetor off and rebuilt it.
Oh, that's an easy job. I mean, back in the '80s, I would still change carburetors. I wouldn't know how to
Yeah,
do it nowadays though. But back in the day, I did it. I was always left over with some screws though. Like, hey, oh,
yeah, that's not good.
yeah, oh, well, I don't know where this screw
Yo.
goes, but the fucking thing works. So just let's hit it.
Yeah, I was driving that school to high school in 10th and 11th and 12th grade, but then I lost it. Like I ended up selling it. But yeah, in the 12th grade is when my dad fucking had his stroke, and we
That's too
basically
young.
lost.
That's too
Yeah, we
young.
lost everything. Yeah, not bad though. He was dead when I was 19, and I felt like that was too young. That's a little bit too young.
Yeah.
My son is he'll be 16 this year. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
got
can't
I got
die.
to.
I mean, you can't die on your son in 3 years, dude. You won't do that. No.
Well, no, that's why it's important. You can't come in late. You got to get started early in the game. Um, Master Nee, my old guru, he said one thing what is one great takeaway you would have from like your father's experience? Because I met him after my father had passed,
Mhm.
and I apprenticed to him to learn Chinese medicine, and he set like various pathways before me. If you were here at the beginning of the video, I did a basic pathway hypnosis meditation, and so he said, and I told him my extreme desires, like to go to China, and I said the military was another option, and then law enforcement was another option, and I wanted to do Chinese medicine, but he blocked that option. He said you don't have enough accumulated chi to heal people, and he said, yeah, he told me that, man.
Yeah,
He
well,
said it would end up killing you.
well, I mean, fair enough. I mean, he didn't go to him to hear bullshit, and
Right, right. And that was one of my strongest desires. I
but,
wanted to
but don't
be,
you think he was right? I think he is right.
yeah, yeah. He was right. Absolutely. And he said that China was actually the least of my options because one of them I told him I said I wanted to go back to Hollywood and take my dad's old black books and reconnect with his colleagues and
Mhm.
figure out if I could do something there in acting. And he said that was the best and brightest of my paths. But
Wow.
yeah, I didn't take that option. I didn't take that. No big deal. And I'm glad I didn't, honestly, because I mean, maybe he was right. Like he predicted some things that at certain ages would occur. And you have to take into consideration how much of that is self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like they give you the fucking blueprint, the game plan, the schematic, and then you just play it out. It's like you
Yeah,
can't
but
buy into that.
how old was this man? When you questioned him.
97.
All right.
97.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's some life experience there, right? So you can see pretty much where somebody's going, and
And supposedly he lived another decade after that. His sons, you could research them. They have a huge online presence, and you could research his entire line. He wrote 80 books on
wow.
spiritual. Yeah, he's a big deal in LA, man. He was treating Madonna and Elton John. Yeah, when I was hanging, I spent 2 years living his apprentice, driving him around, taking his notes, doing all of these things, and his sons are in Bel Air, and they're the biggest clinic of Chinese medicine in LA. So
What
yeah, that's a big thing.
clinic? A clinic?
Clinic, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or yeah, Hospital of Oriental Medicine.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the US doesn't take Chinese medicine seriously, really.
Yeah, well, we do. It actually is in the Netherlands. Well, not necessarily Chinese medicine, but alternative medicine. I think Chinese medicine will also categorize under that, and so that's actually in also in our um, care. How do you call this?
Yeah, I have some inside baseball on him
Insurance.
that
That's also in our care insurance. The
oh,
alternative.
it's covered. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's covered.
California is the only state in the US that will cover that under medical.
Yeah, yeah, because it works. It works, and so whether it's suggestive or it works. So, but it's not suggestive. There is a reason to it. There's a method to it.
Yeah, and in some way, a lot of things are suggestive. You might even say that our entire cosmos is based on the
Yeah,
word, right? And the vibratorial formula of the word, right? If God brought this into being and it
yeah.
means anything, then somehow we're running a
Dude,
script.
I've seen
And
videos. I've seen videos of monks, Eastern monks. I don't know whether they were from China or Tibet or Japan, but they were monks, and they said we can heal cancer from a body um, by praying, and they did on camera. People actually there's. I remember seeing videos of monks praying around a person with cancer, and they actually had a camera. How do you call this? Infrared? No, not an infrared.
ultra
Um,
spectrum, yeah,
no, a radar. Not
radar, yeah.
radar. No, not
Sonic.
radar. X-ray. X-ray. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm.
So they had an X-ray camera on the cancer, right? And there was just, I think, 4 or 5 monks around this person praying away the cancer, and within 15 minutes it was gone.
Yeah, I've seen demonstrations of this, and in
Yeah.
fact, like my old Shrifu, he told me that Master Ni, he said that they've had limited success in China. And this we're talking like the late '80s, early '90s,
Mhm.
in burning cancer out of the body. So what they would do is they would identify it, obviously X-rays or whatever, and then they would put mugwort. It's a type of herb like hay, right? Some sort of
Uh-huh.
taoyao, herbal
Yeah.
medicine on the body and then slow burn it over the cancer so that it somehow activates and stimulates to it
Wow.
essentially burning it out of the body. There would be some scar tissue, but they'd there was limited success in healing like lung cancer or even brain cancer people with this method. But
Wow.
yeah, it
I
was
never
in
heard of that
the
one, but yeah. Yeah. Thanks for telling me. It's like pretty amazing.
they use it routinely, like they use it as a long-term practice. Again, getting back to like the patience of their things. It takes a long time for it to have an effect. Even acupuncture or a massage therapy. Massage therapy can be like immediately beneficial, especially psychologically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Getting a good massage. I mean, how invigorating is that?
Yeah.
But then the next level would be Tuina, which is a bit painful.
It's
And
like a
then
bone. It's like bone and joint massage, right?
yeah,
Yes.
bone manipulation is called
Yeah.
zhenggu. So we have
Yeah.
a Chinese term for each of these. And then needling, of course, is acupuncture or jinju.
Yeah.
And then burning the mugwort on the body is called bahu guar, or cupping is one level of it. But then xiaomiao is the next level. Yeah, so I know a little bit about these things. They're fun. And going for therapy is definitely always a thing. Like right now, this for me is spiritual therapy. It's why I'm here. I'm here for communion, fellowship, commiseration, and bringing the ideas forward somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's why I enjoy the conversations with you, Frank. It's like I can give a lot and I get a lot. It's like yeah,
yeah, it's good magic.
yeah. You understand me, I understand you. We give each other space to talk and to listen, and that's pretty good. That doesn't happen on any panel, on every panel. Right? So,
Yeah, and here's the next thing. I don't know if you know anything about my background at all. Do you? A little bit about like my
yeah. Well, I
transmission
mean,
over
we've been connected.
the
We've
last
been
couple
connected.
of years?
And no, not that much. No,
Okay, yeah, not that extensive. So do you know about Frater Tomas, my hypnotherapist?
no.
Maybe not. Okay. So he recently passed into the realm beyond, and the last 100-day challenge that I had endeavored to do, this was just over a year ago. I was having a conversation much like I am with you now, and I was resonating, and we would do a lot of behind the scenes preparation and study, and so basically like a book club, and we would do it twice a week. And then we would cut up and edit the videos and try to make it a little more product like for my channel and his channel. And I was having a conversation much like I am right now. And he said, "Man, I don't feel well. I need to go lay down." And it was during the middle of the day for him. It was evening for me. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. But it was very sudden and out of the ordinary. And we were going to, because you asked about it earlier on in the conversation. You said, how's your work with the 100-day challenge going, right? Somewhere,
Yeah.
somewhere here. Let me see.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the thing. He died that night. Can
Oh
you
man.
imagine? Yeah, we had a 10 to 12-year long relationship, probably half of that here in Beijing. This is where we met. He was a Swedish guy. And I wanted to do necromantic magic where I would re-find his spirit. And I think, wow, do you contain some of his spirit somehow?
Mm.
Yeah,
I
it's a
wouldn't know. I
possibility,
wouldn't know.
right? Right?
Mm. But it surely is. I mean, you're such a romantic, Frank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And somehow a reflection to
So,
that, like I would have the corresponding spirit. Have you lost anyone? Has anything like that happened in your life recently or within the past where there would be a synapse or a node
no,
that would make no?
no, no, no. I never
Okay.
had any. The only thing that I can think of is this guy that died on me and my acquaintance when we enjoyed his company so much, and all of a sudden he got a cancer, and he died like within a couple of months, and I went to his grave, just to how do you say, not praise him, but just to acknowledge him. And I felt nothing there. I felt nothing there. It was like he's not here anymore. He's not in Bardos anymore. He's not in the in between realms
Why do you
anymore.
keep opening the door?
And I was actually happy to notice that. Like, that nothing of him is left in this grave. He traveled beyond. He's not even able to communicate with me anymore. So, and I felt good about that. So I wasn't, yeah, I didn't want to connect to him like necro how do you call this? Necromantically?
Yeah, necromancy. That's right.
Yeah. Um, but somehow I did, and there was nothing there, and I think that actually felt good to me, better than if I.
Yeah, I think somehow that's possible too. Um,
Yeah,
like
you hear what I'm saying? Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
can be that there's somehow that's a dead energy. And
yeah. They
Rudolph's
they travel beyond, and I mean, wouldn't you want them to travel beyond? I mean, I think it's better for them not to be around the grave or in the grave, and for these um, people, just to move on, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But here's the big question that I left in this particular situation
Yeah.
is that we had done like a lot of planning and intention towards a single goal that I thought was relevant and important somehow. And I felt that as if by leaving suddenly like that, that there may be some intention or reason,
Right. Yeah.
some unseen secret thing that I needed to understand. And so that's why I felt that it was important to look into it.
Yeah.
Um, and at the time, at the particular time that I was undergoing that or that was happening, um, I was reading, and I put his name up here, Rudolf Steiner. I was reading his book called let me see if I got writing in here. The dead live among us.
Mm.
I believe that's the correct uh,
Translation.
re- yeah, yeah, reference to it. So it was a spiritual talk that he had done in Copenhagen in like 1910, I believe, if that
Yeah.
helps with the reference of looking it up. And it connected with something Master Nee had told me that between 47 to 49 is a very dangerous time for human beings, males, especially men.
Oh.
And yeah, there's a gate of death.
Oh.
And
Wow,
yeah,
dude. I mean, that's
yeah,
well, that's okay. So that is just about the time that I did the Voynich manuscript. Yeah.
is that
And
right? Wow.
yeah. So and yeah, and 49 is when when I had to go to the hospital to have my and I had to have my gallbladder removed. Otherwise I would have died. You know, so that's very telling. And I mean, it resonates with my life, with my story. It does totally. I never heard that, but it
Yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
interesting.
It's 7 times 7, right? 49.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's exactly what it is. So it's like a completion of that entire cycle. And I guess a lot of people have identified it in like a general, in the popular sense, as they call it the midlife crisis, right? Like this great
right. Yeah. Yeah.
crossing of the abyss.
Yeah. 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 Interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah, that
But
was one of those things. That was one of those little gems that Master Nee left behind for me. And it was at a very specific moment, too, when he told me that. And I remember the incantation of the language he used, that there were certain things he would say, like in his teaching, because we're talking like a guy in his late, mid to late 90s and
yeah.
about to leave it all behind with like a grand achievement, you know. And I talked to him a lot about my father because my father had died within the last few years or whatever. But he he would always like anchor something by saying, think of this, think of your father, think of that achievement, and then he would say specifically, here is something you should never forget, or here's something you will always remember. And he seeded each of these like very specific instances into my mind in a way that yeah, I ultimately like even immediately thereafter recalled them quite fondly and remembered them and knew that like that key transition point I told you about 47. There are a few others. That's one I'm willing to share because I'm past it, but there are others too. And the cool thing about it is supposedly I saw a few pictures from his youngest son about a decade after that, which would put him into the plus 100s. So like, and he had returned to China as well. That he didn't finish his life in the U.S. even though he came there when he was like in the 1970s. So he would have been like mid 50s, something like that, maybe. Yeah, and then he finished out the journey, having come home. Southern Chinese food.
Yeah, I'm just in the background in the kitchen. I'm gonna have to bake up some sausage, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Do your thing, absolutely. Um, I need to roll on too. Like this is getting getting close to the end of the transmission. So I will. Do you have any finishing words here for the show tonight? Yeah, do your thing with the sausage, and I'll recant a little with Rudolf Steiner's "The Dead Live Among Us," and having gone through the whole lockdown and COVID thing, and the transition of like certain individuals. Give me a second.
Uh-oh, dead air. Dead air. Uh, Frank, I'm going to say thank you for the interaction once again. I really enjoy interacting with you. And I don't know what you're doing in the background, but I got some stuff going on in the background too that I got to take
Okay,
care
good
of.
magic. Yeah,
And
thank you for being here.
I'm
Appreciate
going
your
to say
time.
goodbye, dude.
Okay,
See
good
you on the
evening to
next
you.
one.
Absolutely, fantastic.
Okay, ciao.
Yeah. I'd like to thank you, Voy. I appreciate you being here. I'd like to finish off the transmission with the invocation of total integration. Heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of my, once again, heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of the subtle, wondrous universal law. As the original oneness expresses itself, gross and subtle energies become distinctly divided. Our bodily caves are brightly illuminated by the mysterious light from the three Dantian, bridge points leading to immortality. The powerful atmosphere of the eight directions conjoins my being with the true origin of life. By the absolute order of the divine Ling Bao, send the spiritual energy of the highest ninth heaven, Tianlo, Danna, Dunkan, and Taishuan, to destroy our spiritual obstacles and debilitate any evil influence. This order is given by the highest sovereignty. It is a jade oracle from the subtle origin. I invoke with strong sincerity to drive away the demons and evils and lengthen my healthy years. The attained spirits respond. The evil demon king, Mo Wang, is chained to stand as our guardian servant. The powerful atmosphere has been generated, dispersing all negativity. The Chi of Tao is everlasting. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power. Silence is strength. Will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. Until next time, keep doing good magic.